All right, we are live. Howdy, howdy, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hope everybody's having a good day. Here we are. Let people stream in. Oh. What is an atheist? Someone who doesn't believe in God. That's it. And traditionally, this means somebody who is doesn't believe in, you know, a mind that is responsible for all of physical reality, perhaps. Also, typically someone that doesn't believe in that's also not a polytheist. That's typically what it means. Hello from Denmark? Well, hello there. Hello to Denmark. How can you say you do not believe in something? How can you do not believe in something you say does not exist? I feel like the only way that you could think something doesn't exist is by not believing in it. Exactly. Don't hail atheismo, for they have not risen. No glory on high to atheismo. Indeed. Indeed. He's a deist? I'm not a deist, no. Why is science? Better yet, when is science? As long as you define it, then it exists. Well, using that reasoning, like, Voldemort exists, right? Voldemort doesn't exist. We love Lamp. We do love Lamp. Do you believe in panpsychism? I don't. How do you beat Elliott trichotomy? I just give an example that's not in the trichotomy. Is it possible to truly have any justified belief without margins of error? Probably not. Didn't Einstein say the more he dove into science, the more convinced he became there is a creator? No, he didn't say that, actually. That's not an Einstein quote. Oh. But no one asks, how is science? People ask, how is science all the time? If you know there is no God, then why do you need convincing? Because I could be wrong. Oh, okay. Okay, I see. You believe in anything after death? I don't. But that you don't have to not believe in an afterlife to be an atheist. Do not believe in a specific God or in an overall abstract God. Well, as long as the God is a God that has a mind and is the foundation to physical reality, then I don't believe in it. Do people take the Elliott argument seriously? No. The person who's asking that is just an Elliott argument simp. Is there a difference between nihilism and atheism? Yeah. Does it even mean anything to exist? What does it mean without appeal to common sense? To say something exists is to say that it's part of reality. To my experience, there's no such thing as people who do not believe in God, only in man-made gods. Well, your experience is wrong then, because here I am, not believing in a God. What is consciousness? Can you explain that? Maybe not. What does that have to do with the God question? What's your take on NDEs? I'm not really convinced of them, to be honest. The amount of faith to be an atheist is insane. I can't do it. Christ Jesus is Lord. If you want to hop up and talk about it, stands, we can. Energy cannot exist without a cause. Where did the energy that was condensed come from? I think that you're probably mistaken, Fry, about what energy is and what the first law of thermodynamics is. Indeed, the classic Blitz argument. There you go. You believe in one source of energy that we are all a part of? Not really. Oh. Considering all gods are man-made, he's not wrong. That's a good point. All right, let's bring up verified atheist Pablo. I've spoken with Zeno a lot, which is why I'm, letting other people take the first shot. Verified atheist Pablo, how's it going?
What's up, Doc? How are you?
I'm doing all right. It sounds like from your name that you're an atheist.
Yeah, I'm an atheist. I'm from Ethiopia.
Right, but if you're an atheist, then surely you can't believe me to believe in the God that you believe in, because you don't believe in a God. So,
Like,
I'm gonna let you go. From Dark Dragon with the $5. Do you know what F theory is, and what is the most likely afterlife if there is one? I personally think reincarnation. I'm an atheist, by the way. Well, I don't think that there is anything afterlife. F theory is a physics thing, if that's what you're referring to, and I don't know a lot about it. Okay, we can bring up Zeno now that we've brought up somebody. Zeno, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Zeno, what do you want to talk about today?
It's just gonna be really quick. I'm not gonna do a whole. What's your thoughts on like priority monism, like the whole
I like
being?
it.
You like it?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because
I think it fits well with quantum mechanics.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I have this Hegelian friend who like really likes this priority monism, like Spinoza type argument.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you want to hear the premises, it's kind of a very short version of it. But
I mean, you probably don't need to convince me that priority monism is more likely to be correct than reductionism.
Yeah. I guess his argument is like, okay, well, if we have this prior thing that's like self-determinate, then the only other thing that's self-determinate is consciousness. So therefore, this whole is like some kind of self-conscious.
What do you mean self-determinate?
So he uses determinacy in a weird way just to imply like being one thing as opposed to another. So I am self-determinate in a sense that I am not like Dr. Blitz, for example. It's a very weird way of using determinacy. I agree.
So why is consciousness the only? So look, you could imagine that there are multiple different kinds of things that are self-determinate. I don't see how it follows that just because thing A is self-determinate and thing B is self-determinate, that thing A is thing B.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of trying to get him to explain more, because what I would say is like, okay, something could just be like I don't, just because they have the same structure, they both share the like. A better example, cats are mortal, Socrates is mortal, therefore Socrates is a cat.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, like, it seems mistaken.
Exactly. So just kind of trying to get his thoughts on it. I'll see if I can make it. But interesting to know that you like it. That's pretty much all.
Yeah. It's really it's a nice view.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna let you go, Zeno.
Today, man. Yep.
Thanks. From Ethan Wallace with the $2. Your thoughts on autoscopic phenomena. I have no idea what those are. I can Google it, but I don't know how well developed my thoughts will be if I'm just Googling it. Okay, so autoscopic phenomena are rare, disorienting perceptual experiences when a person sees an image of their own body or face in the space outside of themselves. Okay, it seems weird. It seems disorienting. From Lycon with the 500 yen. Hey, Dr. Blitz, how do flurfs resolve the solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, most importantly, the recent Devil's Horn eclipse on the horizon, etc.? Magic, usually, they usually don't have a good answer for how this happens. They just say, well, we don't understand what's going on in the sky, so it's okay. It's a non-answer, right? All right, let us bring up Straight Outta Stray. Straight Outta Stray has been begging to come up for weeks now or something, so let's talk to him. Straight Outta Stray, you gonna make a case for God existing?
Hi, good day.
Howdy.
One sec. Good day.
Howdy. Why should I believe that the God that you believe in exists?
I didn't say I believed in God. I wanted to discuss several other topics with you.
Well, today the topic
I don't want
is
to
God.
discuss flat Earth too, the way you.
Well, today the topic is
Again,
God. So if you don't
again,
want to talk about
we had
God,
an appointment on Friday, didn't we?
well,
We
only
had
if
an
you want to talk.
appointment on Friday, didn't
Only
we
if you want
not?
to talk about God. If you don't want to talk about God,
No,
then we
you're
don't have an
running now.
appointment.
You're running from me because we've discussed what I want to discuss
Presumably,
via messages.
presumably you
and
want to talk about
now
God,
you want
right?
to run.
Do you want to talk about God or no?
You don't know. I know. I wanted to. No, there's several things I want to talk about. I want to challenge you on the. I want to challenge you. Please, please, little patience. I'm going to try my best too. Okay. I've shown you respect through via text as well, Dr. Blitz. Okay. Please have a little patience with me. Again, I wanted to talk about expanding universe. I want to talk about the Big Bang, and I want to talk about consciousness. Yes. Again, tone
showing
matters.
Me respect is showing me respect
Hey,
is calling
well,
me a whiner,
show
calling me
everything.
cowardly.
Show everything. It was your tone, Dr. Blitz. Show everything. If you're going to show something, show it all. Show it all. Read it. Read it out loud. Show it all, read it all out loud. See, you have a fragile ego, Dr. Blitz. You don't want to talk to a man with true perspective. Again, have you seen my platinum meteorite? You can't answer a yes or no question, but I can answer yours.
It seems irrelevant.
You don't care. Really, that comes from the universe. It comes from the universe. You have a fragile ego, sir. You know, you want to,
I think he's a flat earther, right? Let's talk to Patriarch Logic. Patriarch Logic might be able to form a coherent sentence. I thought he wanted to talk about God, that's why I wanted to come up on Friday. If he doesn't want to talk about God, then he can come up on another day where his topic is relevant. Patriarch Logic, how's it going?
Yo, do you believe in the Trinity?
I don't. Do you?
Yeah. Do you think it's illogical?
I think that at least under any normal method of counting, it's absolutely not how you count, but
Well, how do you count the Trinity? How would you say, like, what's the way to count the Trinity?
I think in the same way that we would say that Jesus is one person and God is one person and Jesus and God are not the same person, then Jesus and God are, so we would have two persons, for example, then we would have two gods. It just seems that seems like the normal way that you would count things.
Well, they're one being.
Then how are they different persons?
How are they different?
A person is just a kind of being, right?
Yeah, exactly. A person can be a being, but it doesn't mean just because you have three persons, it doesn't mean you have three beings. How do you apply that?
What does it? Well, I mean, I'm just using the ordinary definitions of these words. What does it mean for something to be? How can something be the same being but different persons? As far as I'm concerned, a being. Well, obviously they're different, but a being is a kind of person. Sorry, a person is a kind of being. I got it backwards. A person is a kind of being.
Yeah, but
you're cutting out Patriarch Logic.
Existence, correct?
Sorry, one more time?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Can you hear me?
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, so you would agree that a being is going to refer to like a specific a being is going to refer to like a specific type of reality, correct?
A being is going to refer to a specific kind of reality? I don't think so. I don't know what you mean by
I guess just anything that exists, anything that has existence.
Yeah, sure, we could say that.
Okay, good. So the being right there within the Trinity is just going to refer to their existence and stuff, and the persons actually refers to the.
But how many different existent things are there?
It would be what?
How many different existing things are there? I mean, like,
well,
if we count. Look,
if we count existence again,
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. If you count existence as like what is it called? Being, which I believe is the correct way to count this, because again, you already said that being is going to be in a type of existence. It would be one existence because these all three persons possess that existence and stuff. Because
what do you mean they possess that existence?
Meaning they all have the same existence.
I don't understand what that means for three different people to have the same existence. I just don't understand what that means.
I guess we should just clarify. I guess we should just clarify being in person. What do you think a person is?
Something with agency, perhaps mental states.
Yeah, okay, something with agency. And what do you think a being is?
Thing that exists.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So you see the distinction here. When we refer to being, we're referring to existence and everything, which is why it won't be a problem within the Trinity to say three persons possess the same existence, because only being actually refers to the existence. Person just refers to the agents, the actual rational agent that
Yeah, but
possesses that
what does it
existence.
mean for different agents to have the same existence? Like, for example,
Meaning
I
all
would
three share the
so I can give you an example of why this is why this seems counterintuitive to me. So I would say that like Superman and Clark Kent share the same existence, but that's because they're the same
That would be like-
person, right? I
Yeah, that
wouldn't.
would
It doesn't seem like it would make, like, even though you and I are both humans, it wouldn't. I don't think it would make sense to say that you and I share the same existence. We're different persons, so we're different humans.
Yeah, we're distinct beings so okay, the thing about okay, that's good. I like how you said that. So I just want to clarify. I don't really know what the point with Clark Kent is, because last thing I
They're-
said,
they're like kind of they're like
numerically-
kind of different persons in that they're like different
would be
personalities, but they're
numerically
actually the same. They're actually like the same
Nah.
person, right?
yeah, they would be numerically identical and stuff.
Yeah. So that's what I don't understand how you can have
Because
persons that share the same existence, but they're not numerically identical, unless this is some sort of like they're part of the same thing, if we're doing like partialism
No.
or something.
the thing about Clark Kent and everything, or the Superman dude you were talking about, he wouldn't be a distinct person and everything. Within the Trinitarian doctrine, we can actually distinguish the persons. We can have a real distinction between the persons, not an actual formal distinction, which is why you can't even give that example, because
Okay.
there is a real distinction within the persons.
Okay, I mean, this is your doctrine, not my doctrine, so don't get mad at me for not knowing your doctrine, right?
I'm not getting mad. I'm just saying that's my fault, bro. I didn't mean to come off bad. I'm sorry.
How can you help me? Is there any other way that you could describe? Is there any other example of a thing that has this 3-in-1 property that I could draw an analogy with to better understand what your view of the Trinity is?
Anything that possesses the 3-in-1 property.
Yeah.
I want to say property. I mean, not off the top of
I'm not trying to get you on divine simplicity. I'm just saying like this 3-in-1 feature, like whatever.
I mean, there probably is, not to the top of my knowledge and everything, because we believe the Trinitarian is again obviously unique and everything. I just came here to see your view on why it's three gods, because your view on why it's three gods is you don't understand how three persons cannot be three beings.
Yeah,
I said
under any normal counting, like it seems like that they would be. Like a person is a kind of being. Yeah, a person is a kind of being, right?
Yeah,
and so like if you have three different persons, you have three different beings.
Yeah, obviously that's under the normative sense, but you'd have to prove to me just because something's under a normative sense, then, because I use relative identity. We can use relative identity.
Okay, so do we use relative identity in any other scenario to come to the same conclusion?
Do we use relative identity in any other scenario to come to this conclusion?
Yeah, like in any other setting.
I mean, probably, but I mean, it's pretty easy to use. That's my point. We can use relative identity right here. Use that type of counting method, and we won't even have a problem.
Right. Okay, so can you give me another example where we use relative identity to, like, you know, come to the conclusion that like you have three x's but also one y?
Not off the top of my head, but
then it seems like we're just special pleading about relative identity then.
No, we're not, because that's the point of relative identity, bro. We can use
relative identity. Sounds like it was just constructed just to solve the Trinitarian problem, right?
Do we use relative identity to count other things?
I don't know. Give me an example.
Yeah, sure. We can use do you even know what relative identity is?
Yeah, you count by some features, not identity. Not absolute identity.
By some features, not identity. Yeah, exactly.
There's language about sortals and stuff like this, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. So we can use.
Can you give me another example where we do this?
We can use the example. Yeah, sure. We can use it. We can use. We can just use three cars and stuff. Let's say Lamborghinis. Yep. These three Lamborghinis, right, are gonna come from the same company, but they're gonna have the only actual distinction is gonna be their model and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So that's
okay. So you have three Lamborghinis and one what?
What? One. What is it called? One company.
Okay. So, but the Lamborghinis are not the company, right?
The Lamborghinis are not the company.
Right. In the same way that. Yeah.
In the same way, the person is not literally the being. It's
so
not like
Jesus is not God.
What?
So, so the analogy you're giving me is that you have three Lamborghinis, one company. Fine. So the Lamborghinis are God the Father, or are Jesus the Father and the Holy Spirit, and the company is God. So like that would imply that the Lamborghinis are not the company. Jesus is not God.
But in the same way, no, it wouldn't, because we don't believe in like a real distinction when we say that. We only use that as a formal distinction.
Oh, distinction between what? Jesus and God?
Being in person, there's only a formal distinction.
Okay, so that is a
Being in-
distinction
being
then.
in person.
I don't know what
Being in
a
person.
non-formal distinction would be. If you have a formal
A real
distinction, then they're distinct.
What are you talking about?
A formal distinction, a formal distinction is a real distinction.
No, it's not. It's only a distinction within the mind. Where are you going?
Oh, so wait, so they're only distinct in the mind. So are people just mistaken about the way the world is?
You don't even know what a formal distinction is, do you?
I mean, so if presumably you're describing something that's real, right? Presumably you're describing something that's real.
A formal distinction is not a real distinction, you genius.
Okay, can you give me an example of a formal distinction that's talking about something real that's not a real distinction?
Oh, great heavens. A formal distinction is talking about something that's real that's not a real distinction?
Yeah, can you give me an example?
Yeah, God in his essence.
Okay, so the only thing that the only example you can give me is the one that you're special pleading about?
Would you agree that's going to be a formal distinction?
Well, I don't think that they're pointing at something real for what it's worth.
You didn't
So
study what a real distinction and a formal distinction was before you debated.
to be clear, I don't think that those are pointing at something real. So that's not a particularly good example if I'm asking you to give me an example of something that you're trying to describe.
Actually so dumb, bro. So you actually.
So do you want to give me an example of something that we both agree exists?
I literally just did. You don't know what a
of something that we
distinction
both agree exists.
You literally
Of
said
something that we
you're attacking my
both agree
doctrine, so why can't I
exists.
do that? Are you dumb?
Sorry, what did I say?
Are you dumb? I'm sorry. Do you know what a formal distinction is?
A formal distinction is a distinction that you make at the formal level. But if you're talking about something real, that distinction at the formal level is going to manifest at the real level.
At the formal level. So it's how we distinguish things without actually parting them in reality, correct?
Okay, can you give me an example?
Thank you. I wanted to have to because that's just the pure definition of the Trinitarian doctrine.
Wait, can you give me an example of something that we both agree on where you have a formal distinction but not a real distinction?
Well,
even though the thing you're talking about is a real.
I really don't see the point in doing this if you don't even know.
Because then it just seems like you're just special pleading.
Where are you? Okay, how am I special pleading? What?
Because you can only give me examples when it comes to the Trinity. You can't actually use this kind of reasoning to talk about anything else.
No, yes I can, bro. But
okay, then give me another example.
Dude, I'm literally just asking. Can I ask you a question right quick without you talking?
You have plenty.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So thank you. Can you give me like someone that agrees with you that a formal distinction is only formal with something?
I can't give you anybody that agrees with me. No.
So you can't.
No, can you give me an example? Can you give me an example?
You can't defend your claim.
I'm not making a claim. It was a question.
I ventured. That was a claim. That is a statement. That's a claim, genius.
A question is a claim?
Oh, bro. No, bro. Oh, this dude's dumb. Did you not make the statement that a formal distinction can only be applied to things that are not real?
No, I didn't say that. And you can go
You
rewatch
didn't say that.
No, I didn't say that.
Let's rewatch it. Let's both rewatch it right quick. Let's rewatch it.
Okay, let me pull it up.
Man, bro, this is bad.
I know, you're looking terrible. All you can do is special plead.
Because I gave you an example and you asked me to give you another example.
Howdy. No, the question. So to be clear, the example that I asked for, and I can just clarify, the example that I asked for was an example of a formal distinction talking about something that is real, that is not a real distinction.
Okay, replay the clip right quick. Replay the clip.
Okay, it's kind of long. So of something that we both agree exists.
You don't got to. You just said a distinction and a formal distinction was before you debated.
To be clear, I don't think that those are pointing at something real. So that's not a particularly good example if I'm asking you to give me an example of something that you're trying to describe.
Yeah. So do you
want to give me an example of something that we both agree exists?
I literally just did. You don't know what
of something that we both agree exists.
You literally said
of something that we both agree exists.
Why can't I do that? Are you dumb?
Sorry, what did I say?
Are you dumb? I'm sorry. Do you know what a formal distinction is?
A formal distinction is a distinction that you make at the formal level. But if you're talking about something real, that distinction at the formal level is going to manifest at the real level.
At the formal level. So it's how we distinguish.
Yeah. So when did I say that a formal distinction can only be a real distinction?
Keep going.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. I'll keep playing.
Parting them in reality, correct?
Okay. Can you give me an example?
Thank you. I wanted to have to because that's just the pure definition of the Trinitarian doctrine.
Wait, can you give me an example of something that we both agree on where you have a formal distinction but not a real distinction?
Well,
even though the thing you're talking about is a real.
I really don't see the point in doing this if you don't even know.
Because then it just seems like you're just special pleading.
Where are you? Okay, how am I special pleading? What?
Because you can only give me examples when it comes to the Trinity. You can't actually use this kind of reasoning to talk about anything else.
No, yes I can, bro. But
okay, then give me another example.
Dude, I'm literally just asking. Can I ask you a question right quick without you talking? Okay, now wait a second.
You have plenty.
So, Dr. Blitz, you did not say a formal distinction is something you can give at the real level.
A formal no, I don't think I said those words.
Bro, what? Okay, what did you say a formal distinction was then?
I just said a formal distinction is a distinction that's made at the formal level. In fact, we just listened to this. So you can talk about like objects at the formal level, like using like formal reasoning. So like you can have like X and Y, which are distinct, even though even though there may be some identity relation or some equivalence relation between them, right? Because for example, they have different names. But what I'm asking for is a formal distinction that points to something real. So formal distinction between say two real things, two things that we both agree exist. That is not a real distinction.
Bro, no, but look, bro, you're not getting it. My point is, it's not even supposed to be this hard, because the way we describe a formal distinction is just the way in which we part something without actually distinguishing them within reality. That's just how we distinguish God in His essence. Like, it's not that hard.
Okay, so and that's fine. Like if that's just what you mean by formal distinction, that's fine. But then the case of the Lamborghini and the Lamborghini or the Lamborghini cars and the Lamborghini company, that's just not analogous.
Why?
Because in that case, these are not like the Lamborghini company is actually separate from the cars, right?
Well, we would say no. Okay, yeah, we would say that the cars are produced by the company. We can like for the example, we can say the being, like, you would agree within the Trinitarian doctrine, the person comes forth from the being.
Within the Trinitarian, I mean, like if that's what your doctrine says, sure. Like I'm not going to tell you what your doctrine is.
So the person's coming forth from the being. The reason that hypothetical won't be an ad or whatever you said, sorry, is because the company would be the being, and the persons would be the being would be the source of those cars, in the same way the being would be the source of the persons within the Trinitarian doctrine. Wait
a minute. So okay, so you're saying now that that Jesus, the Father, and the Holy Spirit come forth from God? Is that, am I understanding properly?
No, because we can use God and S. Like, for example, again, this is why I said formal distinction, because we do have a actual formal distinction between the persons and their essence. So God right there would be picking out the essence. They would come forth from their essence. The source would be their essence.
Okay, so is there a name for the essence? So Jesus comes forth from the God essence. The Father comes forth from the God essence.
No, the essence just refers to the set of essential properties.
Okay, so then look, the analogy that you were trying to draw, at least is what it sounded like, is that you were trying to some sort of coming forth relation, right? The Lamborghini comes forth from the car, or from the car company, I'm sorry. And so what is the thing that is from which things are coming forth in the Trinity?
Yeah, the essence.
Okay, so Jesus is the car and the essence is the company?
The essence is the company.
In the analogy?
Again, yeah, the essence refers to a set of essential properties and stuff. That's where their source comes from.
Okay, so Jesus comes forth from the essence, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a few questions with this. First, it seems like that we're giving some sort of causal power to like a set of properties.
A set of properties?
That seems a little strange.
When we say the source and everything, when we say the essence and everything, because the essence is a set of essential properties, that is what makes something, like, you would agree, that is what makes you and everything, correct? The essence would be what makes you. That would be where your source comes.
I mean, so to be honest, I don't actually really understand this whole essence business. Like it seems like it's very vague and loosey-goosey, but like, sure.
Yeah, it would be the set of essential properties. Like, you believe you wouldn't be a human without one of your necessary essential properties, correct?
I wouldn't be a human without one of my necessary essential properties. I mean, I suppose, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what the essential properties are.
It's not clear like what an essential property is, but like, okay, that's fine. So if by coming forth you just mean like a composition sort of relation.
We can define what an essential property is if you want.
We can if it becomes relevant. So by coming forth you just mean like it is composed of?
It is composed of. Well, what do you mean by composed?
So like in the same way that I'm like that like I wouldn't be me if I didn't have my essential properties. So like in some sense I'm composed of my essential properties.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I would just say that is the source that you come for. Like, for example, we believe that the Son also comes forth from the Father, because the Father is. I'm trying
to understand what comes forth means here.
Meaning this again, the source.
Well, yeah. Okay, so but what is the thing that is the source? Because typically the source is not the thing that comes forth from the source, right?
It's not the thing that the source is not the source is not the person. The source is the essence.
The source is distinct from well, whatever the essence is. If it's not clear to me. Like, okay, maybe this will clarify it. So is this kind of reductionism? or like sort of like a bundle theory kind of view, where like the thing is the properties that it has, and so like once you have the properties, the thing that has those properties kind of emerges from it. Is that the kind of view that you're proposing?
No.
Okay, I just don't understand. I just don't understand how a thing comes forth from its properties.
A thing comes forth. No. Okay. So this is why I want to clarify. Like essential. This is why I clarified at the beginning essential properties. So
Yeah,
essential properties obviously are something necessary to your being to be made you. If you didn't have one of them, you what is it called? Wouldn't be you. By definition, that would be your essence and everything.
But can you give me an example of like what one of my essential properties would be, just so I can kind of grasp what you're talking about?
One of your essential properties, it would be walking and stuff, or being a rational agent.
Okay, so not walking. So being a rational agent. Okay.
Yeah.
So like
walking would be essential.
I mean,
You
like
have the potential to walk.
no, like
So
if I couldn't walk, like I wouldn't stop being me.
No, you would still have that property of walking. You just wouldn't be able to use it though.
If I didn't have legs, I don't think I could walk.
No, again, your body would still like if okay. Look, the point is like, for example, some things like, and some animals aren't able to walk. They don't have that. They don't have that property and stuff. Like they don't. They literally don't have that property.
Yeah,
There's a
but
distinction between you not being able to walk because you don't have legs. You still possess that property. You just cannot use it.
I don't think that it's plausible to say that I would possess the property of walking if I don't have legs. I don't know what sense that would be the case.
Okay, no. Again, in a normative sense, are humans able to walk because of their essence?
I don't think so. I don't think that that's like maybe that's the point
the
that we're
essence is
disagreeing on. But like it seems kind of crazy to say that like it seems kind of crazy that like to be a human is to be able to walk. Like that's not true.
That to possess the property of walking, you don't have to be able to walk.
What do you mean? What do you mean to possess the property of walking if not the ability to walk? What do you mean to possess the property of walking? What does that mean?
Yeah, your body being able to walk, if you like your body actually being able to produce legs because of your nature. In the same way, worms aren't able to have legs because of their essence. It's not of their essence to have it. You still have the potential to have it, even though you don't have it. You still have the potential to have it. Do you know what
I mean, worms
means?
have the potential to have legs.
Not all worms.
Why not?
Because it's not according to their essence.
What does that mean?
Meaning it's not an essential property.
It seems like we're kind of going in circles here. Like walking is clearly not a
rational agent. It doesn't really matter. We can just use
okay. I'm on board with that. It was just weird that like what do you mean? What do you mean walking is an essential part of anyway? Okay, that's neither here nor there. Okay, so being a rational agent is an essential part of being me. Okay, that I can get on board with. But are you then saying that I come forth from rational agenthood?
Meaning your essential properties are what make you up.
Sure. I mean, but also accidental properties do as well, right?
Accidental properties? They aren't necessary. I mean, they don't make.
No, they're not necessary, but they do. Well, okay, then what do you mean by make me up?
They don't make you up.
That's the point. What does it mean to make me up?
Making you up, meaning without one of your essential properties, you wouldn't be you, or you wouldn't be your being.
So this is like some sort of like ontological dependence?
Ontological dependence, yes.
Okay. Like okay, so that's interesting. So it sounds like you're saying that like I am ontologically dependent on my properties.
Yes, you would be ontologically dependent on your essence.
So what are the properties of?
What do you mean, what are the properties of?
Well, so typically, I mean, it depends, and this is why I was asking if you're like a bundle theorist, because if you're a bundle theorist, then the properties can exist kind of without a thing that they're properties of, and then the things emerge from the bundle of properties, if you will. But if you're not a bundle theorist, then it seems like the properties can't exist on their own. They have to be properties of something.
Well, do you think the essence, well, obviously, if it's essential for you, then those properties can exist on their own. Do you think the essence comes first?
I don't think that well, so I'm kind of on the fence about bundle theory. I think that it's possible that like the fundamental things are properties and then objects are kind of just certain configurations of properties. But if you're not a bundle theorist, then no, you wouldn't think that the properties come first.
Yeah. So I think we're kind of getting off track. We're still kind of on track.
So are you a bundle theorist?
Am I a bundle theorist?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you define it that way, then yeah. But I see what you're saying, bro. I see what you're saying with the Trinity, like relative identity logic. I'm trying to defend it, and it's kind of hard. I see what you mean, though. But I'm not like
Look, so it just seems like there's just a lot that's kind of confused, like, and I'm not saying that it's like impossible to defend, but it just is like, like if we try to think about this from like a, you know, just like a normal person way, like something about it is fishy, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, okay. So can you like repeat? So your argument is
So if we're talking about essences, then like it seems like you want to say that the essence is somehow prior to the being, right? That the essence is what makes the being the being. And so in that sense, the essence can't be a property. It can't be the set of properties of the being, because the being doesn't work yet. Or the being in some sense isn't, that would mean that the essence is somehow after the being.
Exactly. That's the point of the Trinity, because we believe what is it called? The being, or what is it called? The both the essence and the persons are eternal and stuff. They eternally come forth from, which is why that won't be a problem.
But wait, so the essence what does the essence come forth from?
I mean, no, I said the person comes forth from the essence eternally.
Okay, so the person comes forth from the essence. Okay, but then that means that you have to be a bundle theorist, right? You have to say that in some sense the essence is sort of ontologically prior to the being.
No, that wouldn't work because it's eternal and stuff. In the same way we can see.
Well, I'm not talking temporally prior. I'm talking ontologically prior. Like there's like a grounding relation there, or some sort of asymmetric relation.
Well, yeah, but they're eternal.
In the same way that like God or the Father begets the Son, right? It's like they're both eternal, but in some sense the Father is like ontologically prior, right?
Yeah, but my whole point in this is like it makes up, because we're kind of making it pretty hard, and I'm kind of getting like lost in like the word salad and stuff. But
word salad?
Okay, not word salad. It's just like kind of, it's, you know what I mean? Like we kind of got deep into it.
Yeah, we did. I was trying to understand what the essence is, because because like when I think of like, look, so you and I, actually maybe this is the right way to do it. So there is like this human essence, right, that you and I share, right? And maybe it's like rational agency, maybe it's like, you know, we have a common origin, whatever it might be, right? But we wouldn't say that there's only one human.
Yeah, but because we have a distinction, there's an actual distinction.
But so there's an actual distinction insofar as like you and I have different accidental properties. Is that what you're saying?
That we have an actual distinct mind, but the actual thing, the only distinction within the Trinity is the relation of origin.
But isn't that an actual distinction?
The relation of origin?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the only real distinction within the persons.
But if there is look, so you and I have real distinctions. So we're different persons, even though we have the same human essence. We are different humans as well.
Yeah.
Now the reason why
we believe that's the only distinction. We believe they possess the same mind.
No, I know. So you and I are different humans. So we are definitely different persons. We can agree on that. But we're also different humans because there's an actual distinction between us, even though we share the same essence, right?
Yeah, we possess different properties. Properties of the
being. Sure. Like we possess different accidental properties, for example. And so similarly, Jesus and the Father, say, are different persons. They share the same essence in the same way that you and I share the same human essence, but they have at least one different property from each other, namely origins.
Yeah, it would be the.
So why wouldn't they count as different gods in the same way that you and I count as different humans?
Because the distinction is not, because the humans refer to the being. The distinction is not within the person. I mean, in
humans
the being.
Human refers to the being. I thought human referred to the essence. I thought it was the human essence.
The essence, you can use essence and being interchangeably, brother.
Okay, fine. So you and I have the same human essence, but we're different humans.
Yeah,
right?
The only distinction, like when we say being and person within the Trinity, we are referring to a distinction within the persons, not the distinction within their existence and stuff. With humans and stuff, we have a distinction within our person and our existence.
Is our human essence, do our human essences share the same existence?
Yeah, I would say we have one universal human nature.
Okay, okay, and I'm just trying to draw an analogy here. Maybe I'll write this down and that'll help both of us.
Yeah.
One sec, let me open up a notepad. And we'll put it here. Okay, so can you see that all right? One sec. Oh, oops. No, it's too small. Okay, there we go. Should be fine. Okay, sorry, I just want to reorder this. Okay, so we have, so in the Trinity, why can't I spell? We have, and then we have, you know, the humanity. Don't worry about the name.
Also, I don't know if this, I'm not trying to like look at that. This is like the first time I look at chat. I think he wants to come up. His name is maybe Nasilic. I know you probably don't need help and stuff, but can you like bring him up maybe?
I don't see anybody with that name in the guest box.
Oh, he was just pressing up. Yo, Nasilic. It's like SNOSILK.
Nope, not in the guest box.
Oh, okay.
But okay, so in the Trinity, so we have 3 persons, right? And then, you know, you and me, let's just say that we have like 3, you, me, and I don't know, my mom, 3 persons, right? Now those 3 persons in the Trinity, they have actual difference in origin, right?
Yeah, within their personhood.
Yeah. Like that's what distinguishes their personhood, right? And you know, the 3 persons here, maybe we have actual difference. I mean, we would have actual difference in origin. In fact, like you and I have an actual difference in origin. That's true. There's other differences as well, but right. So, and then we say that the 3 persons share one essence. This is a share one God essence, right? And then you and I and my mom, we share one human essence. And then we come to the conclusion, one God, but then we come to the conclusion here, 3 humans.
So, okay, let's read this. Trinity, 3 persons with actual difference in origin, share one God. Share? No, I want to say share.
All have. Is that better? And then I'll change it over here too.
No, you can say share because like the distinction, like we don't believe that God, again, under divine simplicity and stuff, like humans and the Trinity. You know what I mean? Like under your.
Okay. I mean, like it's fine either way. I'm just trying to make sure that I use the language that you're comfortable with. I feel like I spelled essence wrong. Oh no, it's just a repeated word. So like this is the issue that I see. Like it seems like the actual difference in origin is how we say that there's 3 persons in both cases. And of course there might be other reasons that there's differences as well, but this is one of the reasons. And we say that they share one essence, but somehow we come to different conclusions.
Yeah.
So
and the reason
why?
we come to different the reason we come to different conclusions, right, is because I don't think that you actually know how to correctly define what a person is or a being is, and you keep saying that I'm like, what is it called? I'm presupposing things, or I'm not really.
I don't think I said that you're presupposing anything. Look, I'm just trying to like understand how do we come to different conclusions here? What's the symmetry breaker?
So exactly, let's read it right quick.
It's on the screen.
Okay, I'm gonna read.
Go ahead.
So 3 persons, actual difference in origin. So like here, hold on, let me close my door. So the 3 persons, actual different within the origin, not a distinction within their being. They're all one God because they possess one divine essence. Within the humans, we are 3 persons, and actual different in origins, share one human essence, 3 humans. Yeah, so I see. So look, I already explained this to you. The distinction, the problem within this, that the only real distinction within the Trinity is actually going to be the relation of origin. There as humans, we have real distinction within our being and stuff.
Okay, so is it your claim because we have other actual differences
we
as
have
well?
Minds. We have distinct minds. Like if you show me,
so it's something like
one person had a distinct mind from
different
the other,
minds.
Then you win.
So you say different minds. And then you say over here,
we have a different
mind.
spatial locate. We are spatially differently spatially located.
So
we exist
so is this the distinguishing feature that gets you to one God?
Well, no, that's not the only thing.
I mean, like you know, you could add more stuff. You could say like same mind,
but
different minds, same place, same. Yeah, okay, but just to like simplify, right?
Yeah, the same mind is going to be something that distinguishes us humans.
So then how do you get to 3 persons with the same mind?
How do you get to 3 persons with the same mind?
Yeah, because that's counterintuitive to me, right?
So, if you would be a person and being in some reference can be distinguished, like a being is not always a person, but a person is always a being.
Yeah, sure.
You would agree with that? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the way we can distinguish that, because all three persons, because a being does not always have to be a person. Those persons, because they are all a being, they all again possess the same divine essence. Would you agree with that?
I mean, per your definition, sure. Yeah, they possess the same divine essence in the same way that you and I share the same human essence.
Yeah, exactly. And because they possess the same, well, I would think I would actually agree that there is an actual distinction, like, but not in the same way. We all possess the same human essence.
Okay, so
Like-
what's the distinction?
The distinction?
Yeah, like why is it? Why? How do they possess the same essence in a different way than the way that you and I possess the same human essence?
Well, the distinction would be, what is it called? We all possess the same human nature at different times and stuff. Like, there was a time where I didn't exist within reality, and that you existed within reality.
Sure, right, but we're talking about things that exist, right? Like you and I both exist, so like we both possess the same human nature, the same human essence.
But you possess the human nature longer than me. Well, I probably possess one longer than you, but
Yeah, sure. But so like that would be another difference. That like, but like, you know, so if we both exist. If we both exist, then surely we both possess the same human essence. In the same way that if Jesus and the Father both exist, surely they possess the same divine essence.
But we don't exist at the same time.
We do right now.
Yeah, but there's a point in which you did exist and I didn't.
Okay. So is this reliant? So is it like the temporal difference that matters here?
Freaking, I'm not interrupting you, bro. Can you tell your mom to stop freaking muting me, bro?
Your mod? Who's muting you?
Your mod, bro. I don't know, bro. I don't. It might be my mic or something. I don't know if it's a mod or not, bro.
I don't think anybody's. If somebody is muting you, quit it. But I don't think. I don't even know if my mods can do that.
I keep accidentally interrupting you or something, and I just keep getting muted or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got muted in the chat for 5 minutes for some reason. I don't think it's your mod. It might be my internet. It might be my internet. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I don't know. But if somebody is doing something, quit it. So in your view, the distinction is that you don't even need different minds. You actually think that these two are not parallel.
You don't even need different minds.
Like even if you had two persons with the same mind, because they might be alive at different times or something.
By definition, if they weren't alive at the same time, then they would have distinct minds.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, you could say that like perhaps one took the mind of the other after the first one died or something like that. But
the real distinction is because all three persons possess the same mind. And then we can move on from there.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not clear to me what it would mean for two separate persons to possess the same mind.
It's not clear that they all possess. What do you mean?
Yeah. So I could give you an example. Suppose that we have like conjoined twins, and suppose that they actually have the same head. Right? Would you call that one person or two persons?
It would be two distinct persons because they are distinct beings.
But they're conjoined at the head and they have the same head.
Yeah, but
it sounds like that this would just be one person with two bodies.
It doesn't mean that they share the same mind though. Where are you getting that from?
They have the same. I mean, like presumably there's only the one head with just two bodies attached.
Yeah, but again, you would agree there's two distinct persons.
No, I wouldn't. I would call that one person with two bodies. You
would call two twins with one conjoined mind two. Like what?
Yeah.
Are we serious?
So there's one head, and then there's two necks coming off the head, and then two bodies coming off the necks.
Brother, if it's so there's one person controlling two bodies.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it would seem like.
Where are you getting that from? Like, are we
it's
serious?
a hypothetical.
It's a hypothetical. Has it ever happened before?
I don't know. Maybe. But it's a hypothetical, so like hypotheticals don't have.
That's not even a real. I don't think a hypothetical could even.
Hypotheticals don't have to have happened, right?
By definition, look, yeah, exactly. By definition, if it's a twin and stuff, if it's an actual twin and stuff, it would. If it's twins imply different person. As a matter of fact, are we serious?
Well, conjoined twins are generally when like when you have like a merging of things happening or like a splitting and not fully forming twins. So like I'm not saying that there's two persons and that there's two twins. What I'm saying is that like you have somebody with the kind of deformity where they have one head and then two bodies coming off of it. Yeah, if you want to call that a conjoined twin or not is not relevant.
Okay, repeat it again.
So you have one head and two necks, and then two bodies coming off of each neck, or one body coming off of each neck, rather.
And this is one mind.
Yeah, I mean,
Then it would be one person. Like, okay, wait a second, Dr. Blitz.
Yeah,
Okay,
I agree. It would be one person.
This isn't relevant. If you agree it's one person and it has one mind, that's not even relevant because we believe the three persons are distinct persons but possess one mind.
Right. So I'm just trying to understand how that's possible.
Yeah, because you're giving the hypothetical of one person that possesses one mind. Like, what?
Well, but why is that one person? But like the three persons that you're saying that share a mind aren't one person. It seems like the way that you count minds, the way that you count persons is like the number of minds.
No, because again, you just said it yourself within your hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
You literally said it was yes. It would you said it yourself. It's one person that has two bodies, and it shares the same mind or something. It has one mind.
Yeah. So the reason why I would say that they're one person is because they have one mind.
It's one person because they have one mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Like,
and so the three persons can't have the same mind. Otherwise, they'd be three minds, or they'd be one person.
Oh. Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, bro. I see what you mean. That's a good point.
Something to think about, at least.
You see what I'm like? Okay, I understand what you mean. Like, bro, okay. I'm sorry, bro. Like,
you're fine.
Like. So let me just get this straight right quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I see what you mean. That's a good point right there. I never thought about that. I'm sorry. Okay.
You're fine.
By my logic, it's pretty much, it would be like double standard in a way, kind of, right? Like.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's just like, I don't know how else you count persons except by the number of minds that they have.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That's a good point. I'm gonna go study that, bro. Yeah, you won, bro.
Okay.
Good stuff.
All right. Take care, Patriarch. Have a good one. You know, I actually like that he was thoughtful. Like, he definitely came in hot, and he definitely has, like, I don't know, I don't want to say ego issues, because I don't think that there's like issues. But he definitely was, like, you know, doing the rhetoric. But like, he was at least thoughtful enough to pay attention to what I was saying, and I appreciate that. Please don't say the E word again. Okay, I won't. All right, let's read some super chats, then we'll bring on our next guest. We have 200 yen from Lycon. Please run Lunar Eclipse with Flurfs next time. Flurfs don't seem to want to talk to me anymore. From Snowcat with the $5. If you were really a PhD physicist, you would be able to tell me how to make every atom in my body fissile on demand. But you won't. Fraud. True. You know what? Take my PhD away. Take it away. From Christopher Sanford with the £5. Laughed so hard because I was writing a super chat to mock his position by saying 3 Ferraris equals 1 car. Then he went there. I mean... No, he said 3 Ferraris, 1 company, which is fair. That's like a reasonable thing. 3 Ferraris is not 1 car, though. That's true. From Best in Show with the $20, an argument against God is that it's outside time and thus could not temporally cause creation without time. But if Big Bang is emergence of time, how could Big Bang emerge if there is no time on the other side of Big Bang? So if the Big Bang is the emergence, this is a good question. If the Big Bang is the emergence of time, it's not emerging temporally. It's emerging geometrically, meaning that it's not like it wasn't there and then was there. There wasn't time in which it emerged. It was like there is a geometric connection between a purely spatial non-temporal part of the universe and a spatiotemporal part of the universe. And so there's like a geometric relation between those. They're connected in some way. From I'm the Big Cheese with the $5, low tier way to disprove Trinity, demand an argument or evidence of the ontological existence of the Holy Spirit. They can't, so it is duality. That is low tier, but it's funny. That's funny. From Atheist in a Foxhole with the $5, 1 God, 3 parts, and 0 dates for this poor guy. Hey, maybe he might have dates. I don't want to presume. From Garain with the $5, humans all have 2 minds. The corpus callosum tricks us into thinking it's one. That's actually, it's an interesting interesting biological fact that, yeah, if you separate the corpus callosum, you can kind of have like 2 different minds and not be aware of the other. Each one won't be aware of the other. And from Orion Cooper with the $2, this part is brought to you by Herbal Essence, trademarked. No, I'm not supposed to say the E word anymore. All right, let me drink some water and then we'll bring up our next guest. All right, sorry about that. Let us bring up our next. Oh, I have too many windows open. I have to close some stuff because I can't find the thing that I was just using. Okay, and then I can close this. Then I can close this. Okay, cool. All right, let's bring up another guest. Let's talk to Almat Ramor. Almat Ramor, how's it going?
Do you hear me?
I can, yeah.
I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm doing okay. Almat,
Yeah,
do you
so
believe
I
in
was
God?
going to say that, yeah, I do believe.
Okay, why should I?
Yeah, so, well, because there's no way to define existence without God, basically.
Can you elaborate on that?
There's no definition of existence without assuming
There's no
an essence.
definition of existence? Well, existence is sometimes
if
taken
you
to be
have,
like a... Existence is sometimes taken to be like a, you know, primitive. It's just like the things that it's just things that exist. But by the way, your mic is, I'll just turn you down. Your mic is exceptionally loud. Okay, I turned you down a little bit. You should be good.
All right. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the issue is that there is no ontology of existence without assuming God, basically. At
How do
least
you
in the
figure?
current mind or understanding. Give me, what do you think it defines existence really without common sense?
I think that existence is probably a primitive, like what the concept of existence is. But like it's not really my burden to do that. It's kind of your claim, so you should defend it.
Okay, so to defend it, if we assume there's the usual infinite descent argument, which proves that again, without a first cause, you cannot have an existence, which of course you know this one, right?
Yeah, I just don't think it's a good argument. I don't think it's.
Is that
I don't think it
if you have
works. I don't think it succeeds.
So the two arguments is this one and the empirical inability of atheists to define what it really exists without appealing again to common sense or primitivity or anything that's just intuitive.
So
it's intuition, but you do not have a way to define what really exists from what doesn't exist.
Wait, can you give me how you define what exists and what exists and what doesn't exist? Just so I can know what kind of thing you're looking for.
Well, what exists is things that exist when God decides to cause them to exist. So they're caused by an essence.
So I will just
when
say
they come the mind of God, they exist. That's how I define it.
Right. So I will define it as things exist when they are a feature of the universal wave function. Seems like we're done.
Yeah, but there's an issue here because if you go back to 200 years ago, you would define it as things having position and momentum inside.
Okay, they were wrong.
So, yeah, but we could be wrong as well. So how could you know what exists?
So could you.
If you could also be wrong.
You could be wrong too.
Yeah, but the point is that you have been proven wrong.
Your critique. To be clear, your critique was that atheists can't define it. I just did. Now you're saying, but your definition could be wrong. Well, that wasn't your critique. So do we grant that indeed atheists can define what existence is?
No, your definition is that it has a wave function.
Sorry, yeah, the wave function is part of my definition. Yeah.
So what's the wave function of space-time?
It's a complicated wave function. What do you mean? What is the wave function of space-time? Space-time is not the kind of thing that has a wave function. Space-time emerges from the wave function.
Right?
Space-time emerges from the wave function.
You don't know that.
You didn't ask me to prove these things. You asked me for a definition.
No, I asked you. You are
moving the goalposts.
You have to use quantum mechanics, right?
I am using quantum mechanics. Yeah. Yep, I'm using quantum mechanics.
No, quantum mechanics does not prove that the space-time has a wave function. It doesn't have wave function.
That's irrelevant for your original critique.
You assume
it's irrelevant. Your original critique was that I couldn't even give you a definition. I have given you a definition.
No, but I said to you that I proven to you it's inconsistent with your own ontology.
What's the inconsistency?
That you think space-time exists, yet it doesn't have a wave function in your ontology.
No, I'm sorry. You misunderstand my ontology. In my ontology, the wave function the space-time itself emerges from the wave function.
Yeah, that's a hope you have. You cannot prove it from quantum mechanics, which
that wasn't part of your critique. It's not internally inconsistent. So now you're moving the goalposts again.
No,
You
I'm
said
not.
you said
You
that
have
you could
to
prove
listen to what I'm saying.
I am listening to what you're saying. You have to be internally consistent yourself and stick with your original critique, or admit that your critique failed, because your first claim was that I couldn't give you a definition of existence.
Let me explain to you why.
You have to let me finish. Your first claim was that I couldn't give you a definition. Then I did give you a definition. Your second claim is that it's not internally consistent, and then I showed you that actually your understanding of it was not what I was suggesting, and in fact what I was suggesting is indeed internally consistent. And now you're saying, oh well, you can't prove that your definition is true. You've moved the goalpost now twice.
Can I talk now?
Yeah.
Sure. When you bind yourself by the definition, you said that exists if it has a wave function.
No, I didn't say that.
At the same time, you
Pay
believe.
attention. That's not what I said. I said a
You
thing
didn't say
exists
that wave
if
function
it,
is.
I said, I will tell you again. I said a thing exists if it is a part of the wave function. The universal wave function
As a
in
wave
particular.
function, does it evolve in time? Does it evolve in time, or is it static?
No, there's time is emergent as well.
Again, all those. Again, let me tell you why I think it's inconsistent. It's
Okay,
inconsistent
please.
because in your own framework, you cannot prove those things.
That doesn't make
your
it
own framework, you
inconsistent.
cannot
You know
prove
that,
them.
right?
I think you can believe it, but you're bound yourself. You have to be bound yourself with what you already believe, right?
Yeah. So it's not inconsistent. Then we can agree.
It's inconsistent with your own worldview. It's not inconsistent
What's it
in its
inconsistent with?
essence. It's inconsistent
What's
with
it-
your own worldview.
Okay. What part of my worldview is this inconsistent with?
Is that you think that it's part anything that exists is part of the wave function. You don't know
Yep.
in your own framework whether or not space-time is part of the wave function. You hope it is,
Wait,
but you don't
where's
know.
where's the
In
inconsistency?
inside your own framework.
Where's the inconsistency?
Is that part of it? Is that you again? It could be or could not be. If I told you before tomorrow that the wave function, the space-time is not part of the wave function.
I'm sorry,
would you
you're
change your-
misunderstanding. In my framework, space-time is part of the wave function.
But what if tomorrow a paper comes out, gets a Nobel Prize, and proves that it cannot be the case? Would you change your perspective?
I suppose. Would you change your perspective if a paper came out and proved that God can't exist?
Of course I would.
Okay,
But-
so then we could both be wrong, I guess.
Yeah, but hear me out.
So in your own framework, you can't know that God is that a thing exists if God
No.
wills it to exist. So like that means that you have an internal
let me
inconsistency, I guess.
let me continue. No, you bind yourself by physics, by the exact physics. So to you, the physical existence or the physical wave function is the ultimate. So, but
Yep.
if it's proven that this is not actually the case,
Yep. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's not an inconsistency. You understand that, right? By the way, I can't hear you. Your audio died. Hope we didn't get hit by a car. Oh, Andy's gone. Shame, because that was a good one. Let's read a super chat from Rod Blow Alres with the 50 Mexican pesos. I hate when I can smell a guy's kalam as he walks by. No, he wasn't doing kalam, he was doing tag. Oh wait, he's back. Can you hear me? At least I thought he was back for a second there. Well, I was hearing road noises. That's why I assumed that. That's why I was saying that I hope he didn't get hit by a car. Right? So. Hope he didn't ascend. All right, let's bring up our next guest. Let's bring up Burger Boy and Jun. Burger Boy and Jun, how's it going? Burger Boy and Jun, you there? Oh, when you're off the app, I can't hear you. I'm okay. All right, let's bring up O's. Oz, how's it going?
Yo, what's up?
I guess I only bring up people who don't know anything, huh?
Yeah, I mean, clearly, right?
Does that include you?
No,
Self-own. All right, what you got for me? Do you believe in God?
well, yeah, obviously.
Okay, I don't. Why should I?
Because theism accounts for everything within the world, whereas like your religion does not.
When you say theism, what kind of theism are we talking about?
I'm referring to Christianity.
Okay, so can theism account for, like, you know, why dinosaurs got cancer 100 million years ago?
Yeah. It's the fall, yeah.
But the fall happened after the dinosaurs got cancer.
I'm not sure if the Bible explicitly mentions the dinosaurs.
So it doesn't account for it, right?
It doesn't need to refer to everything on a
So then how does it account for it if it doesn't
you could account for something without referring to it directly? I mean,
okay, so then so what's the account?
If I said every living thing dies and I don't mention every living animal, does that mean I'm not like talking about them? No, I mean,
Right, so what's the account?
Yeah,
what's the Christian explanation for why dinosaurs got cancer?
It's the fall.
How does the fall account for something that happened before the fall?
How do you know it happened before the fall?
Well, because the dinosaurs got cancer 100 million years ago. Do you think the fall happened 100 million years ago?
The fall happened prior to like everything.
It happened prior to everything?
Prior to everything you could account for within your...
So you think that humans existed before dinosaurs did?
So we're mixing up two ideologies here. Look, you even said earlier to some guy that if you see some sort of like paper that comes out and disproves dinosaurs exist or disproves some new data, you're going to change your opinion based on...
Yep.
Right. The problem is, like, you're constantly changing based on the data, whereas...
No, I'm not constantly changing. I'm just open to change, right?
Right. If you're open to change, that means what you have right now is not perfect, whereas what we have right now...
It doesn't follow.
It does follow. If it's perfect, why would you change?
Well, because I might not know it's perfect, right?
But I know it's perfect. I know mine is perfect.
Well, I know that that's the position you hold. But the question is why is it that... Okay, so look, I know you wanted to get meta with like the things that you know and the reasons why you know, but the question of dinosaur cancer is like a serious question. The fall happened because two humans, in particular, well, Adam and Eve, ate from the tree of knowledge, right?
Right.
Okay. So that means that in order for the fall to happen, humans must have existed before the fall, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, in order for something to be a result of the fall, it must be the case that that thing happened after the fall, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So that means that the dinosaurs with cancer, if getting cancer is a result of the fall, the dinosaurs with cancer must have happened after the fall, right?
I'm not critiquing, yes.
Okay. Which means that humans existed before dinosaurs.
Well, that's what the Bible claims, so yeah.
Okay. So I think that then we have a good reason to reject your view based on the all of the empirical evidence in front of us that indeed dinosaurs existed before humans. Go ahead.
So if my religion is something you cannot, believe in because of that, I guess, flaw, then how do you account for like prayers, working and stuff of that nature? Like, how do
Apparently they don't work.
They do work.
Not really. Not when the person doesn't know you're praying for them. They work just as much as chance. This has been tested medically.
So why is it the case that every Christian has some sort of personal story where they prayed for something very like unlikely and it happened consistently because they prayed for that thing? Like, that's not just luck.
Confirmation bias is what it is.
What is that? No, that's not confirmation
Christians
bias.
pray for things all the time, and they only remember the times when it works.
I'm not sure if that's true whatsoever, because every Christian...
Have you ever prayed for something and it not? Have you ever prayed for something and it not come true?
Not that I could remember. No, I don't think.
You've only ever prayed for something and it's come true?
I don't pray for things more. Like,
okay, so I thought you said that every single Christian that I know has stories of praying for something and then having it come true. praying for
What I was
something.
trying to say is I don't always pray for things, but on rare occasions that I did pray for something, I did get in the end.
It's always come true every time.
I've only ever prayed for something 2 times. Like, yeah.
Okay, so do you think that so if you take prayer to be evidence of Christianity, or if you take prayer being quote unquote successful, being evidence of Christianity being true, then presumably you should take prayer being unsuccessful as being evidence that Christianity is false, right?
Actually, prayer not working would be evidence that theism could be true too, because sometimes your prayer is not.
Well, then prayer working can't be evidence that theism is true. If both outcomes are
doesn't
evidence,
follow.
if both evidence, if this is a test and both outcomes of the test are supposed to be evidence, or if both outcomes are supposed to be evidence, then neither outcome is evidence. I don't know why I can't talk.
What? So
Like,
you're
okay,
saying
I'll give
because
you an example.
No, I know what you're saying.
Okay,
I'm
if you know what I'm saying, then
disagreeing
go ahead.
with it. Like you're saying, okay, if prayer working, is going to be evidence, and if prayer not working is also going to be evidence, then none of them
Neither
are
is evidence. Right.
Right, and I'm saying that makes no sense because, like, there's nuance here that you have to look into to like understand why some things don't work. If you're praying for things that align with God's view, they will always work. That's kind of the whole point, right? So if you look at the Bible,
Yeah, but you can't know what God's view is, so like that's post hoc
absolutely
rationalization.
can. If you're praying
you
for
can?
something righteous, if you're praying for something righteous and just, like you'll
How do
always
you
get
so okay, let's say that somebody's praying over their spouse because their spouse is dying of cancer, and they're praying to God to save their spouse, to let their spouse go into remission. Is that righteous or not righteous?
Well, that's a bit complicated because,
Which one is
really
it? I thought you said that you can know.
You have to know. Okay, you have to know the person though. Like, are they usually Christians, or are they just praying because they have? Cancer
No. These are two Christian people.
Like devout Christians.
They're just normal Christians. They go to church every Sunday. Normal Christians.
Like they believe God exists. Like
They're just normal everyday Christians.
Yeah, then that's not possible. Like if you're
it's not. Wait, so you're telling me it's not possible for someone to pray over their spouse dying of cancer? To pray for pray for.
I'm saying a devout Christian.
Respite?
No, I'm saying a devout Christian is not going to have like these health complications.
Are you fucking nuts?
What do you mean?
You think that devout Christians don't get cancer?
Can you point to one? Has there ever been a devout Christian that actually
Yeah, sure. By the way, are you Catholic or are you Protestant?
Oh, I'm 19.
That wasn't my question. Are you Catholic? Are you Protestant?
Oh, sorry. I thought you asked for my age. No, I'm Protestant.
Okay. And this is going to be super easy to. Okay, here we go. Yeah, list of or death of notable Christian leaders in 2025. And then we'll just type in. How about Jim Shaddix?
Who was he? Is he just
Jim Shaddix was a senior professor of preaching at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary in Wake Forest, North Carolina. He was 64 years old. He served in various pastoral roles in Alabama, Colorado, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, and Texas. He had a prolific speaking ministry and wrote and contributed to numerous books, including his latest work, Decisional Preaching, which was published in 2018. He was, at the time of his death, he was W.A. Christwell Chair of Expository Preaching and Senior Fellow for the Center of Preaching and Pastoral Leadership at Southeastern Seminary. In December of 2024, Southeastern installed the Jim Shaddix Chair of Expository Preaching in his honor. He had a lasting impact. Alan Murray, president of the Baptist State Convention of North Carolina and pastor of Centerville Baptist Church in Kelly, North Carolina, wrote in a Facebook post that it would be an understatement to call Dr. Jim Shaddix a blessing. His ministry to us at the Cape Fear Network of Baptist Churches on more than one occasion has made a lasting impact on my preaching. All the interactions I ever had with him were marked with kindness, sincerity, and humility. No doubt he had a huge influence on thousands of others in his pastoral and teaching ministry. I'm thankful his faith is now in sight. Was this person a real Christian? A true Christian?
I think we should just agree to disagree.
I think that you should answer my question.
Well, it's a complicated question. It's really
How is it
hard.
this is like the most Christian that's ever Christianed.
Like I just don't see this conversation going well for me right now. I have to like.
I thought that you said that I only bring up people with bad arguments. Maybe
Yeah,
you were
you
right.
do. You know, I hold on. I don't have bad arguments. I just.
Well, then answer the question. Was Jim Shaddix a Christian?
Well, you know,
A true
you know,
Christian?
You know, Christ did say a lot of people are
Answer the
called, but
question.
I don't know. Like, I have no way of knowing. Like, I don't know.
He
the guy
spent his
personally.
entire adult life preaching the gospel.
Yeah,
Other
and I could
preachers
point
called
to
him a
multiple-
blessing. They
I could
called
point
him.
to multiple people like that later on was revealed they did something bad. I'm not saying he did anything bad whatsoever. You could just never know who a person.
Wait, can you
truly
not be
is.
can you not be a true Christian and also have committed a sin? I thought that everybody was a sinner.
Well, everybody's born. That's okay. Well, yeah, right, but there's a difference between actively sinning, knowing it's wrong, versus like out of ignorance. And I'm saying, like, okay, do you know about the stories about these?
I'm not letting you get away from this this Dr. Jim Shaddix, by the way.
I'm not. It's actually revolving around this. Do you know about the pastors that go to Asia and later on they were revealed to doing something heinous, like bad, and
Yep.
they get arrested? Yeah, like you could, like, if you asked me if they were good Christians prior to all that coming out, I would say yes. But there's no way. It's complicated. This is really
Yeah, so
deep stuff,
there's
and I'm-
so there is no evidence that there were any scandals involving Jim Shaddix. He lost. He died knowing Christ. He's a wonderful preacher and professor. He was an inspiration to all that had the privilege to learn from him. If you're going to say that this guy isn't a Christian, then you're not a Christian.
Oh, I know I'm a Christian because I know
Oh,
myself.
well, then so is Jim Shaddix.
Okay, then how come I don't have cancer?
Because cancer is a natural phenomenon. By the way, I didn't even say that Jim Shaddix died of cancer. He did die of cancer, though. He died last year. And it sounds like he was actually like seemingly a good man. So at least from what everybody
Alright,
wrote
explain to me
of
then
him.
why I don't have any.
Why
health
you don't have cancer?
complications.
Because cancer is not caused by sin. It's not caused by the fall. It's caused by random mutations that happens in your cells that causes them to reproduce uncontrollably and take away resources and eventually suffocate your body or starve your body of nutrients. That's why you don't have cancer, because you're 19 and you haven't had enough time for your body to mutate in that way. Like, that's why you don't have cancer, and that's why the 64-year-old did.
That's a very interesting observation. I'm not sure if it's entirely accurate, but look, that's why I said maybe let's agree to disagree. I'll come prepared next time. Like what you have right now, it's gonna hurt a lot of people's feelings if I say what I wanted to say. So it's better for me to just approach this. Like next time, I'm just gonna come show you facts about the world you cannot assess, because it's not fair for you to be constantly digging into my perspective when you cannot account for yours.
I'm sorry, didn't you come in and say that Christianity can account for every fact about the world?
It absolutely can,
But I just gave you an example. In fact, I gave you two examples. There's the failure of prayer to work, and then there's also the dinosaur cancer, which you couldn't account for.
So do you know for a fact dinosaurs exist?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, do you know as a fact, not as a theory?
Yeah.
So you know for a fact dinosaurs, T-Rex, like literally lived a million years ago.
Yep.
And you know that because you have bones on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, like your standard of evidence is very limited and it's flimsy, whereas like mine
My standard of evidence is like actual evidence. What's your standard of evidence?
Literally from multiple people.
Sorry, one more
proving
time, repeat it. You cut out.
My standard of evidence is what historians appeal to. It's what I like.
What do historians appeal to?
Historians appeal to writings from like scholars of the past. Like my religion.
Sometimes they do. Not always. Sometimes they appeal to archaeology. Archaeology is things like bones in the ground.
Yeah, this is a really complicated conversation.
You were so confident at first.
I am.
What
confident.
happened?
I know what I'm talking about. It's
okay. So
really
then, can you account for the dinosaurs with cancer? What's the account?
Look, the dinosaurs were after Adam and Eve.
Okay, well then why don't we see any human bones in the same layers as the dinosaur bones?
Because maybe the dinosaurs ate it. I don't know. Like maybe
the dinosaurs ate it. Dinosaurs ate the dinosaur bones. How did the dinosaurs eat? How did the dinosaurs eat the human bones if the humans were before the dinosaurs?
Yeah, because they're before the dinosaurs. Like they could find the bodies and eat them. Why does this matter? This is irrelevant.
Because you can't account for it. And your claim was that Christianity can account for all facts about the world, and this is when you can't.
Okay. Wow.
You also can't account for the failure of prayer.
Well, you believe there's failure of prayer, but every time I prayed for something, I got it. Most Christians I know also got it. Everybody got it.
Here, let me show you something. There's a really famous one. In fact, there's actually, it's so famous that there's a Wikipedia article on it. On the efficacy of prayer. And if we scroll down, there are third-person studies. These are on studies of intercessory prayer. This is like when you're praying for somebody to get better.
Okay.
The third-party studies reported either null results, meaning that nothing happened, correlated results, or contradictory results in which beneficiaries of prayer had worsened health outcomes, which means, for instance, a meta-analysis of several studies related to distant intercessory healing published in the Annals of Internal Medicine in 2000 looked at 2,774 patients in 23 studies and found that 13 studies showed statistically significant positive results, 9 studies showed no effect, and 1 study showed a negative result. So that means that in at least 10 studies, there were negative results that prayer didn't work.
Well, when you say negative results, like
Meaning that
radiance
prayer
are
didn't
different.
work. Yeah. A 2003 Levels of Evidence review found evidence for the hypothesis that being prayed for improved physical recovery from actual illness. It concluded that although a number of studies have tested this hypothesis, only 3 have sufficient rigor for review here. In all 3, the strongest findings were for the variables that were evaluated most subjectively, raising concerns about the possible inadvertent unmasking of the outcomes assessors. Other meta-studies of the broader literature have been performed showing evidence only for no effect or a potentially smaller effect. For instance, a 2006 meta-analysis on 14 studies concluded that there is no discernible effect, while a 2007 systemic review of intercessory prayer reported inconclusive results, noting that 7 of 17 studies had small but significant effect sizes. But the review noted that the 3 most methodologically rigorous studies failed to produce significant findings. So even if you think that sometimes it works, it doesn't work every time, is the point.
And that completely corresponds with my theory of religion, you know? Only some people actually mean their prayers, whereas the other ones are just doing it
Only
for the
some
sake of
people
testing.
actually mean their prayers?
We know this. There's cultural Christians that go to church because they're, you know, raised Christian, and there's some Christians that go to church because they actually believe in God. And look, what if I
So do you?
point to things-
So your. By the way, your burden is like enormous here, and it's like this is to the point of absurdity, right? The claim is that there's not a single genuine Christian who believes in God that has ever prayed and not had that prayer come true.
There's no evidence of that so far. So yeah, I mean,
Jim Shaddix is evidence of it, by the way. But
absence of evidence is an evidence for absence. So like
Jim Shaddix died of cancer, and he was a devout Christian.
So you know for a fact he hasn't had any sort of wrongdoings.
There is no reason to think so.
Okay, see, like this is your problem. You go by what you could only observe. I go by what the
So-
facts dictate.
Do you have any evidence that there was a scandal? That he wasn't a true Christian?
Maybe his faith wasn't as strong because the prayers obviously didn't work, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's only assuming the case that if it. Look, you're begging the question. You're saying, well, look, it must have been the case that his prayers weren't as strong because he got cancer. But you're assuming that the reason he got cancer was because he wasn't Christian enough. Which, by the way, if this worked, like, it would just be the case that Christians wouldn't die of cancer. Like, Christians would have a statistically lower probability of dying from cancer than the rest of the population. But that's obviously not the case.
and they do. Like,
Oh, do they?
Yeah, I mean,
Is there evidence to support this?
Yeah, there are statistical findings that show Christians on average are, you know, not only better at being empathetic humans and just better virtuous humans, but they're also less likely to have any sort of health complications compared to like people that live in different countries, for example.
I'm actually curious if there's any evidence to support this.
I read about this, dude.
Okay, what's the source?
I was on Reddit.
Oh, this is interesting. This is actually very interesting. So here's a paper. Wait, you read it from Reddit? This is a troll, right? Okay, so mortality differentials in religion in the US, religious affiliation and attendance.
Okay.
This is a published result. Figure 1, this is the life expectancy by religious affiliation at age 55. I think that this is focused in the US, of course, but that's fine. We can just focus on the US. So notably, evangelicals, even mainline Protestants live less than Jews do.
Well,
They have
okay,
shorter expected lifespans.
That's very interesting, actually. That is very interesting. All right.
Which means that, you know, it seems like that they're more likely to die of things than Jews, say.
That's because they give out so much. Christians are empathetic. They give out and they...
Why would that mean that they're more likely to die?
Because they care for other people more than they care for themselves. That's why you see
They
other
shouldn't
people
need to
around
care
them.
for themselves. They shouldn't need to care for themselves if the true Christians don't get cancer anyway. They don't get disease.
Well, how do we actually know these Christians you see on this app are actually, or on the data are actually
No,
Christians?
the point is that some fraction of them will be, even if not all of them are true Christians, some fraction of them will be true Christians, in which case we expected them to be higher than average. We expect them to be higher than a group that is 0% Christian. Jews are 0% Christian, right? So we would expect that a group that has some percentage Christian would have a higher life expectancy than a group that has 0% Christian.
Well, can I come back a different day and show you why you're wrong? Like, it's really hard right now.
I grant that. You can come back whenever you want.
All right. I'll have
Take care,
data.
Rose. Please do. Yikes. All right, let's read some super chats and bring on our next guest. Thank you guys for being so generous, by the way. I am trying to buy a new car soon, so. From Dr. Fudge with the $10, I actually can't be wrong because I said so personally. It sounds like a skill issue. It is a skill issue, actually. That's the same reason I'm not wrong. From Faulty Muse with the $5, you're much more patient than I would immediately drop someone the moment they say, can I talk now? Because that just proves that they're bad faith. No, I mean, it's just the thing that some people say, and I can understand getting frustrated with that. From Tim Davidson with the $2, caller, if it's perfect, who did Cain and Abel marry? Yeah, right? Yeah, we're thinking of getting an EV. From Censored with the 65 Swedish kroner, prayer works. I prayed for prayers to not work, and they don't. Good point. Yeah, no, of course there are requests. We're going to bring up another guest in a minute. From Tim Davidson with the $5, if prayer works, God. If prayer works, God. If prayer doesn't work, God. Heads I win, tails you lose. Yeah, that's exactly the point that I was getting at. If a test's failure and success conditions are both evidence for the thing, then neither of them are evidence for the thing. From Gumby Deninos with the $10, is it fair to speculate that discovery of the graviton may be gated by physical constraints? If space-time is an underlying substrate, we'd be trying to infer the substrate from products of itself. No, I mean, even if space-time is a fundamental underlying substrate, then gravitons can still exist. Gravitons are just quantized disturbances in the substrate. From Equilibrium with the $5, thank you so much, Equilibrium. Just found your channel a few days ago. I greatly enjoy your content. Keep it up. I'm a Christian and I was MAGA. My paradigm is shifting. Thank you. Well, look, more power to you. Keep on learning. See where you end up. From Game Guy with the $5, ask a caller to pray for a good argument. If he's a true Christian, he'll win this debate. That's good. That's a good bit. Orion Cooper with the $2, Mr. Rogers died of stomach cancer. Sorry for feels. Indeed. Was Mr. Rogers a Christian? I don't actually know. Maybe he wasn't a true Christian. We have a lot of guests. Sorry, I have to make sure to look at. Oh. Okay, sorry, I was just double checking something. Okay, so we have Ethan, who's been waiting very patiently, and then we'll bring up a guest from Discord. Ethan, how's it going?
It's going good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Ethan, do you believe in God?
I do.
All right, I don't. Why should I?
Well, I guess a fair question maybe from my side might be like, why don't you?
Because the reasons that people have tried to give me are usually crap.
That's
And
fair.
I think that they're pretty compelling arguments for the contrary.
Well, I think something that really compels me is the idea that rules don't really mean anything unless something is enforcing them. So I think when you look at maybe like a digital space, those rules have to be enforced by something that keeps track of everything within the system. Excuse me,
Sure.
I've been doing some woodworking. But yeah, it's just like when you kind of play that rationale out, it sounds like you need something keeping track of everything everywhere over all time to enforce behavior on everything. And
What do you
that to
mean
me
behavior?
sounds a
Do you mean
lot-
like laws of physics kind of thing?
Yeah, like whatever rules govern whatever system is in question, there has to be something enforcing those rules.
I don't think that like there are rules governing the universe. I think that there are rules that we write down that describe the universe, for example.
Yeah, but like, why is it consistent everywhere? It's kind of my point.
I don't know.
Well,
Do you know?
I can demonstrate that, at least virtually, if you want system behavior to encompass, say, like a virtual world, then you have to have something enforcing that behavior. So I find that compelling. And again, it's like perfectly logical too. Like if you run a computer program or play a game, even if it's like chess or something, and the logic of the game is like inconsistent, then it breaks, right? It crashes or it doesn't work.
Well, yeah, but that's
So-
because we're making things do things that they wouldn't naturally do. Right?
Yeah, but my point is like if you want to make like a self-consistent world, then there needs to be something enforcing rules across that whole world, is what I can at least
Well,
demonstrate.
maybe if you want, look, so I think that that's only the case if like that's not the natural state of affairs.
Yeah, but
Right.
like what enforces it being natural? I mean, I think when you look at the
I
universe,
don't know.
things
I like I don't know why the universe is the way it is. I don't think really anybody does, theists or otherwise. But like, look, things only need to have rules enforced on them if they wouldn't behave that way anyway. Right?
Yeah, but it's like if that behavior is not defined somewhere, then it's kind of illogical to say that it should behave that way.
I mean,
Like, if I don't
in
have a
some sense, like I don't know what you mean by defined somewhere. Like things
I'm
can
just
have
kinda-
dispositions, right?
I'm just kind of like playing on the. I'm trying to like analogize with like video games and like digital stuff because it's very
Right, but video games and digital stuff behave the way they do because they are not behaving in the way that they would naturally behave, right? Like we're making them do things that they wouldn't normally do, which is why we have to add so many constraints and things like that.
Well, I mean, they could behave that way. Like on some distant planet somewhere, maybe a bunch of rocks and stuff fell into just the right position to.
In
form a
which case
computer.
in which case it's not being enforced, right?
Well, I mean, I think a good counterexample to that would be evolution, right? Like the constraints of the rules of the universe eventually produced like an intelligent system or intelligent beings, right?
Sure. The
So again,
behaviors
it's
of the
just like-
stuff led to certain outcomes. Sure.
Yeah, but my point is like if you wanted to replicate that, what you can demonstrate is that you need something enforcing that behavior on everything.
Only if you want to
Right.
replicate it in a system that it's not the natural like behavior, right?
Yeah, but the reason that we call it natural behavior is because that behavior is seen everywhere, right?
Well,
Like,
look,
if
so,
I- if I
so
produce-
things could like put on my shoes for a second. Things could have like a natural disposition, and if that is the case, then there's no reason to expect that they need to be enforced to behave that way.
I just don't really see that play out in a way that is like demonstratable. Because again, like if you wanted to build a system, as science does, they try to minimize a system and then control the variables going into it and out
Yep.
of it. Then the way that you do that and the way that you like build a world, quote unquote, like a virtual world, let's say, is by having something that enforces that behavior on everything within that world. So I can demonstrate that. But the counter of just like natural dispositions,
Yeah.
again, it doesn't really make sense to me because like
Which part?
if you have a natural disposition, that implies that there's like again this behavior that is enforced
Yeah.
on everything.
That what makes it be an electron is that it behaves a certain way.
Yeah, but that behavior is consistent everywhere, right?
Yeah. Well, there's only the one electron field, so like it's not surprising that it's consistent because it's only one thing. But
that field encompasses everything that we know of, at least, right?
yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah. So it just kind of like mimics that.
But like
behavior
it's
that
just
we're
one
talking
thing.
about.
So like of course
Yeah,
it's
I
going
mean,
to be
yeah.
consistent between places. It's one thing.
It has, yeah, it's one thing with a certain kind of behavior that is
Yep.
distinct
And
from other
Right,
that
and
are
what
part of
makes it the electron field rather than, say, I don't know, the muon field is that it has one kind of behavior, whereas the muon field has a different kind of behavior. That's what makes them different. They behave differently.
I see what you're saying, but again, like them being distinct still doesn't get to my point of like, okay, it's still this rule that is enforced everywhere.
But it's not a rule. It's just how the thing is. If it wasn't that way, it wouldn't be an electron. Or the electron field, rather.
But again, still like that behavior, at least I can demonstrate that it would need to be defined by something. And it seems kind of irrational.
Why would it need to be defined by something in order to behave that way?
Because those rules wouldn't mean anything if nothing was defining it and then enforcing it, is my point.
What do you mean they don't mean anything? If they behave a certain way, then there are no rules making it behave that way. It just is that way, and then we write down formulas that describe the way it is.
Well, then it just sounds like we're talking about the same thing, but like with a different label on it. Because if it just is that way, and it's immutable, and it's like this fact, I'm saying the same thing, but I'm saying that the logical conclusion from that I can draw from, say, simulations or games or whatever, is that you need something enforcing that behavior everywhere. And it seems kind of irrational to say otherwise.
Well, I mean, I would say that probably in all of the cases where we see regularity, the vast majority of them don't have an obvious designer. So it seems like actually the rational position to take would be that things have natural dispositions, and they don't require a designer or an enforcer to make them behave that way. Because that's like the vast majority of stuff in the universe.
Well, my claim is that this is the case for like all things. Like rules don't mean anything unless something is enforcing them. Is again my.
But you're drawing that conclusion from like things that we designed, but things that we designed are the vast minority of things that exist.
Well, yeah, but again, the example that I pointed to earlier was evolution, right? Like that's a good example of natural dispositions, let's say, those rules, then creating this emergent behavior of intelligence or life or whatever. So
yeah, but that's
again,
not an example of like rules being enforced. That's an example of, on my view, that would be an example of like natural dispositions giving rise to things that think there are rules.
But again, it just sounds like we're saying the same thing, but like with a different label. I don't know. We might just be like talking past each other. But yeah, I just think that rules don't mean anything unless there's something enforcing them. I think it's kind of irrational to say otherwise.
I think you're framing rules as things that obviously in governments rules exist, right? We make laws, but the kinds of rules that we see in nature are not the same kind of thing that we see in governments, for example.
Well, yeah,
right?
I'm not.
The things that we see in nature are descriptive, not prescriptive.
So you don't think that there's any reason for them to be the way they are? I guess
maybe there's some deeper fundamental reason, but I don't know what it is, and I don't know if there is such a thing.
Okay, well, I guess that's sort of just the limit of, I guess, what we can see, and I guess from our perspective, there's only so much we can fully probe or know.
I'm curious why you think that a designer would put in place these rules.
Well, like for the same reason that like a video game maker would instantiate some rules for whatever game that they want to make, right? Like there's a really cool channel.
But why does the god care about having like, behavior that's always the same? Right, like you and I, when we I don't know if you write games, but like when a game designer makes a game, they have a goal in mind, and that goal is, they want to, sell a video game, or they want to bring joy to people, whatever it is, and so they use their psychology, and their psychology has certain features, and then they make inferences about the world, about what the outcomes will be based off of their desires and the things that the way the world is, and so on and so forth. So why would this universal designer have the features that wants them to create a consistent world, that leads them to want to create a consistent world, I should say?
Yeah, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. I think to tie it back to Christianity, it would be to say glorify the truth. That's kind of the salient theme of Christianity, is like you glorify God, which God is the truth in this worldview. So there's that. But like maybe from like a human perspective, it would be just like interest. I guess. Like it's interesting to see things develop and evolve, and like I don't know about you, but whenever I watch like YouTube videos or I'm trying to write games now, but like any kind of like emergent complexity is just interesting to see. So
Right,
I
but that's
imagine-
interesting to you.
Yeah.
You have to import that psychology onto God if you want to say that that's why God did it.
Well, the idea is that God made us, so my psychology is in at least some facets similar to his.
Right. So if you're
Same with
making
you, same with everybody.
so if you're making some so if you're adding some features to this designer such that it can explain why the world is this way, I can just add those features to the natural world.
And that's why I say like we're kind of just talking about the same thing, but the label of God is just not.
Well, except the worldview that you're supposing here has one extra thing in it that makes the theory far less plausible. Namely, that the theory you're proposing has both natural things and supernatural things, whereas the theory I'm supposing just has the natural things.
Well, I think supernatural things sort of arise out of this system of like again with video games. It's a pretty good example. Like if you're playing, you ever play like a source game like TF2 or CS:GO?
I
or
never played
something?
TF2, but I did play Overwatch.
Overwatch.
Yeah.
I don't know if do they have like. I guess Blizzard made that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Blizzard.
Rest in peace.
But I don't know. I think source games just give a good illustration of it because like you have a game that's like defined by somebody, but then you have like extensions like Gary's mod. where
Oh,
you can-
yeah,
it's like-
sure.
It's like
Yeah,
a
yeah, I'm familiar.
sandbox game,
Yep.
but like from the perspective of like a TF2 character, let's say, some dude like clipping through the wall and like spawning in a bunch of stuff would be pretty miraculous. But in the context of like Gary's mod, let's say, someone has the rights to do that. They have the authority to do that within that game, that framework. So they can do things that are seemingly miraculous, but like again, in this video game context, there's nothing really stopping the developer from just like changing the variable from 1 to a million or something. Like that's
Right.
not
No,
really
but what I'm saying is that like, look, it seems like we both are importing the same number of assumptions about to explain, you know, why the world is so orderly or something like this. But on top of the assumptions that I'm making, you're also assuming that there are supernatural things that exist.
Well, I think that it's, you know, a necessary sort of conclusion. Again, like if you built a virtual world, there's like
well, no, I mean it's an
certain things
assumption.
that come
The
with
assumption
that.
being like God is a supernatural thing.
yeah. I mean that's kind of the
And so
We'll
like
get back.
we can both explain the world equally well with the same number of assumptions, but yours has one extra thing and it's a supernatural thing. So like why it seems like that the theory I'm proposing is just simpler and has the same explanatory power.
it just sounds like we're saying the same thing, but like I can point to and demonstrate like if you had a virtual world for whatever reason that you'd have these kind of characteristics. So it's not unnatural to say like an admin can do whatever.
I'm not saying
in the
look
context of a virtual world.
the
But
admin
I was
relative
talking
to the
circles.
relative to the virtual world, the admin is supernatural, right?
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm saying that the theory that I'm proposing is just the world, and the theory that you're proposing is the world plus a god, and they
My
have the
point is,
same
like, if you-
explanatory power. So
Well, my point is like, I think I see what you're saying. I think I see what you're saying. But my point is like, if you have a video game, let's say, then that kind of implies a developer or like an admin or something with that kind of privilege. It's just in that context, just in that analogy. So like, I guess to your point, it's still more complicated, but I think that it kind of opens the door for maybe things that seem miraculous that have a perfectly like coherent and logical explanation. So, yeah.
well,
Does that make
lest we
sense?
go in circles. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I'm just not sure that we agree. Lest we go in circles, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's your opinion on like the Shroud of Turin and all that?
I'm very convinced that it was like a 13th century forgery.
Yeah, that's the claim by the 1988 carbon dating study, I think.
Well, and we have the historical record from the Bishop of
France.
Troyes.
Yeah, the French bishop.
Yeah, saying, yeah, there was this guy who forged it, and we have him in custody or whatever he says. And so
yeah, well,
like,
the claim there.
go ahead.
Well, the claim there is that he was trying to make money off of it, and that it was a forgery because of that. but I don't think that there's any historical evidence of him like actually recreating it. So
Well, I mean, all we have is that like somebody accused it of accused. Somebody said that they had a forger.
yes.
And it happens to be the case that in the same time period when this forger supposedly lived, carbon dating maps the Shroud of Turin to that same time period, right? So like that seems too coincidental to be a coincidence.
I think that I understand the skepticism, but I think that it's interesting that regardless of all the studies that have been done, that a lot of the features of the shroud haven't been like replicated in their totality. And there's a really interesting study that you don't have to read it here if you don't want to. I know that there's other guests, but it's by the Italian Institute of Natural Sciences, I think, the ENEA. But they are the only study that I've found that's actually replicated some of the features.
There was a guy, Lucas, what was his name?
He like used the oven.
Yeah, there was Garlashelli is his name. Luca Garlashelli was a guy have you seen that?
I have. It doesn't seem that compelling though, because like a lot of the actual like chemical microscopic features weren't actually replicated by it. Like it looks like an image, no doubt, but like the actual chemical composition of it and the image depth wasn't replicated and all this stuff. But that one study that I pointed out by ENEA, Shroud of Turin.
Yeah, let me pull it up. ENEA. Let me pull it up. Let me see if I can find it. You're referring to something like this?
There's like an actual article and study.
Oh, it could not be found. Oh, wait a minute. Is this the group that I think it is? Let me see if I can actually find the paper.
6-page report, I think.
Yeah, let me see, because if I remember correctly, yeah, superficial and shroud-like coloration by short blah 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 blah. Right, this one. This is in applied optics.
Maybe. Is this the actual paper? Or?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll have to. This is the abstract. I can pull up the actual paper, but I can't show you how I do it because if I do, then you know.
Is there like a copyright thing? How does that work?
Yes, it is. Pay no attention to the source of the. Pay no. Oops. Nope. Ignore that. Nope. Ignore that. Oop. Where'd it go? Pay no attention to the location of the paper. You're talking about this, right?
Scroll down. I think maybe. Yeah.
Okay, because if memory serves me, let me see it. Let me just double check my notes because I vaguely remember that there was a thing about. Oh, where is it? Here. One moment. Go away. One of these authors has an extraordinarily bad reputation, and I want to say it's is it Lazaro or is it Baldacchini? Let me see. This one. Oh no, I was thinking of the Gianni and the Fanti De Caro Carlino paper. Okay, so I was thinking about a different paper.
Yeah, here I don't know if you can select the link, but that's more.
The paper that we were just looking at was the one that you were referring to. This one. This is the paper that you're talking about. I haven't looked at this. I can look at it at some point. But isn't it kind of strange? And you know, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure, and you know, I'm no Bible scholar, but I'm pretty sure that doesn't the Bible say that the Shroud of Turin is not one cloth?
Yeah, there's also another. Yeah, there's also another supporting cloth that was like the head wrap, I think, something like that.
All the strips of linen lying there, as well as the cloth that had been wrapped around Jesus's head. The cloth was still lying in its place, separate from the linen.
Look at Yeah, there's
So-
another cloth that claims to be the head wrap. That's also
Right,
popular. I haven't
but
actually
it's
seen
strips
that.
of linen, right? So there's the head wrap,
Yeah.
the cloth that has been wrapped around Jesus' head, but then there's also the strips of linen lying there, not just one
Well,
cloth.
yeah, I mean, the shroud could be one of a number, right? Like,
But then why is the proposed shroud covering the entire body?
well, in the same way that like you might bandage someone's wounds if they've been, flogged, you might wrap those up and then wrap up the appendages and then wrap the whole thing in one giant
But
cloth.
if that were the case, then wouldn't the blood not make it through from where the wounds were?
Well, I mean, scourging is pretty brutal. I mean, like Roman scourging like cuts people down to like their rib cage, so that's not
Yeah,
really
but
gonna.
wouldn't he have bled out already?
I mean, I don't know the specifics of how scourged he was or like if it hit anything vital, but again, the shroud just shows a lot of interesting like anatomical complexities. Like the thumb on the image is folded over, which is consistent with Roman crucifixion before the 4th century. But again, like, my whole point is,
what do you mean? Like, you mean the way that they were buried?
no, like the way that they crucified somebody was it was like down to a science. And we didn't really know about it until like the 20th century in its details.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it was banned in like the 4th century, I think, because it was too.
How would we not have known about it?
Because I guess the documents were confundeled with or something, or maybe they just weren't like found by. I might be wrong on that. Definitely fact check me there, but it's like there's like a lot of anatomical consistencies between the image and the shroud. But regardless, like someone, if they could produce the image, maybe they could like replicate that. But the point is like the actual like replication of the surface features of the shroud are pretty interesting.
It's a little weird, right? Like, yeah. So here's an image from the Shroud of Turin, and like this just looks like a person. But if this was wrapped around a face, we wouldn't have expected it to just be a two-dimensional image of a person, right? We would have expected it to be kind of a wrapped image of a person.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I think that kind of interesting to scripture is that, I mean, a salient theme of the Bible is that God preserves his word. And I mean, the claim at least is that that is an image of the word. John 1. In the beginning was the word was God. So like if you take a photo of just like someone with like an old camera, you have to still develop it, right? And if you wanted God's word to be preserved, it just looks like an image is the thing. And a similar technique.
It doesn't look like the kind of thing that would be wrapped around somebody. In fact, if you didn't know a whole lot about perspective, and if you weren't particularly talented, you might just paint an image of what a person looks like rather than an image of what a cloth would look like if it were draped around a person, right?
Yeah, that's a fair point. But again, like the shroud again has like the back features on it as well, again consistent with like the anatomy of what happened allegedly. But again, the point is like if God wanted to preserve his word, he probably wouldn't want to be all like distorted and look.
But surely you understand that like if every time I bring up a piece of evidence to the contrary, you just say, well, God wanted it to be this way, and so there was a miracle that happened. Like surely you understand that like that can't really then be taken as like a scientific argument.
Well, my point is that it's consistent with the story, right? Is that God?
I mean, you could just say that like he poofed. You could just say that he poofed the Shroud of Turin into existence, right? And that would be consistent with the story.
Sure, yeah, but again, the fact is that it does have this historicity where, like, again, if you look at that study, it, at least from what I can find, it's the only study that actually replicates like the linen features of the shroud. So like micron image depth and like discoloration, like the VP8 stuff.
I don't know what VP8 is.
I think NASA developed it, and it's for like imaging like surface features from just like an image. So like you can get like topography and depth from just a 2D image, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's just something interesting to look into, and I'd recommend it because you seem pretty scientific. I like your videos, by the way. I don't mean to like smooth talk you, but
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's just interesting to look at. I don't know. But
I mean,
what is also
go ahead.
So what's also kind of interesting is that what the shroud study, from what I can tell, sort of demonstrated is like the way that they replicated the image was by using lasers or a laser. And what that did to the linen was, I'm not a biology major, so don't split hairs here, but it altered like the biochemical makeup of the image site. So it created these things called VOCs, volatile organic compounds, and then those VOCs could be activated through, say, heat and pressure to like bond to new sources of carbon. And it just so happens that in like the 16th century, the shroud was in a fire that you can actually see still on the shroud. There's like burn marks. But I mean, a good like critique of the shroud was like the carbon dating and all this. And like, I don't doubt the source. I don't doubt like they took a lot of precautions and sent it to different
they
labs.
specifically avoided dating the parts that were burned.
Yeah, but my point is like if it was an image produced by this kind of a laser that they describe in the study, then it wouldn't really matter. Like it would permeate through the whole cloth. That's kind of my point.
I don't understand how that addresses the carbon dating bit.
Because if it's introduced to heat, that carbon could be captured again by the VOCs that are like a part of the linen, and those VOCs.
But the fire wasn't the fire wasn't in the 1600s. It was in the fire wasn't at the same time that the carbon dating.
Well, no, that's my point. Is that it could skew it. Is my point. Is that like that new source of carbon could bond to the shroud, and.
But isn't it awfully coincidental that like the carbon dating pinpoints it to the same time when somebody says that they found the forger?
Well, I mean, it's like around the same time. It's like just
it's within like 70 years or something. But that seems like an awfully big coincidence.
Well, I mean, again, there was like debate between the people who did the carbon dating of like if it's between the 1400s or the 11th century, and then they just like as a vote decided to pinpoint it around 70 years from the supposed forger date that they all knew about.
No, I think the error bars are like 70 years. Oh. Which is the error bars are like 70. I can just go pull it up.
Yeah, I might have misspoken.
Let me pull it up. What the actual paper published in Nature. Okay, so we can actually get the here we go. Here's the actual paper, and I could have been misquoting it too. So this is the original paper from 1988, 1989 or whatever. Okay, so here's the relevant mean radiocarbon dates. So here's some tests on the left, and then here are the results on the right. I think if I'm reading this properly. And so you take a whole bunch of data and then you find error bars, right? The age of the shroud is obtained at 1260 to 1390 with at least 95% confidence. So
yeah, I mean, it's like, what are the odds? I definitely get that.
Well, it's less than 5%, right? So
yeah, but aren't there other, well, I mean, here's my point, is that it's a pretty well-researched piece of history, even if it was from the 14th century. And my point is that the only way that's been replicated in any like detail was as described by the
That's not true. Luca Garlascelli also replicated it. He replicated a different aspect of it, but he replicated it.
Yeah, but not in its totality is my whole point.
Well, neither did the researchers, neither did these Italian researchers. They didn't replicate it in its totality.
Well, yeah, you should look into like how like
I mean, you just said that they didn't. So I mean, and we can just look at the abstract here. So what they do is, we present a survey on 5 years of experiments of excimer laser irradiation of linen fabric, seeking a coloration mechanism able to reproduce the microscopic complexity of the body image embedded into the shroud of Turin. We achieved a superficial shroud-like coloration in a narrow range of irradiance parameters. We also obtained latent coloration that appears after artificial or natural aging of linen following laser radiations that at first did not generate any visible effects. More importantly, we have recognized photochemical processes that account for both coloration and latent coloration. So all they've done is they've essentially achieved a superficial shroud-like coloration. But what they did is they achieved a coloration that looks like what the shroud has. But that's not the whole thing. The Shroud of Turin is not just the color.
Yeah, I know. That's
So
That's
they
my
only
point.
replicated part of it. Allegedly, I haven't read the paper, but I'll just grant it for the sake of argument. So like, you know, Luca
Yeah.
Garlashelli, he replicated part of it. This team replicated part of it, or Luigi Garlashelli, I'm sorry. So like it's, I don't know. It just seems like this isn't the only study that's done it.
Well, again, the point that I'm trying to get at is like the part that they replicated in that study that you just read the abstract of
Mhm.
was like the interesting part, the part that really is hard to explain how someone in the 14th century, let's say, would replicate that. And similarly with Luca
It's Luigi.
Garlashelli.
I'm sorry. It's Luigi
Luigi.
Garlashelli. It's not Luca. Yeah, I just got it wrong.
Well, yeah, no worries. But like the features that he replicates aren't even on like
Have
the
you
same
looked at it?
scale. Like
They're actually far
it-
larger.
Yeah, but like the actual like image features are, they leave chemical marks, they leave burns. I think like the image depth is like 2 orders of magnitude deeper than.
Have you looked into the Luigi Garlashelli reproduction?
Huh?
Have you looked into Luigi Garlashelli's reproduction?
Is he the guy who like made it using like an oven and like a chemical sort
I
of
think so. Maybe
methodology?
this
Yeah.
one.
I think I remember seeing like a video about him, and then I went from there. But
And like to be clear, like this is also peer reviewed and published. So
yeah. But my point is like he didn't actually replicate the image features as are seen on the shroud with like this micron image depth and
I'm pretty sure.
But he made an
and-
image, no doubt. But like
At least from the abstract, the paper that you referred me to doesn't make the claim that they reproduced it either. They achieved a
Well, no, they-
superficial shroud-like coloration. They didn't actually verify that that's the same mechanism, right?
But that's my point is like that's the only mechanism that I've seen demonstrated. So like
That you've seen
okay, you have
demonstrate
this-
that same coloration?
yeah, like with the image depth and
Where do they say? Okay, I haven't read this, so I can't talk about. I don't know what you mean by image depth. Do you? But
yeah, so like a big, I guess key feature of the shroud is like the image depth doesn't go really into the linen. It's just staying on like the top fibrils, and it doesn't like seep down into the linen like Luigi's study does, where it's this chemical.
does it?
Like
Where
burn
does it say
mark.
that? Because I think that he just painted it on it, right? Not what he did. The faint image of a crucified man has pseudo-negative properties, is superficial, contains three-dimensional information, consists of a discoloration of the top cellulose fibers of the linen. The authors present now a simple technique which may explain how the image could have originated from the work of a medieval artist. Furthermore, the authors were able to obtain a good replica of the shroud at 1:1 scale that possesses all of the above-mentioned features and the same visual and spectroscopic properties of the original. So they're claiming that it actually is superficial in the same way. It has the same, consists of the same discoloration, consists of the same, has the same three-dimensional information, is superficial. At least that's what they're claiming here.
I'd probably have to go read that again, but to the best of my knowledge, it's like it's like 2 orders of magnitude deeper than the actual image depth. So there is like probably, 3D imaging because they, I think they use like some kind of chemical thing and came across as like a photonegative, which is, cool and interesting. But the claim of the other study, the ENEA study, is like this is what the shroud surface features actually looked like, and this is how he replicated it. Not the shroud in its entirety, because as the study gets into, you need some pretty wild technology to do that. But yeah, it's just interesting. It's just interesting, and that it's compelling to me. So I just say look into it.
And you look into this one, and then we can agree to agree, right?
Yeah, the truth will win out one day. So
one would hope. All right, I'm gonna let you go, Ethan, because I do have a lot of guests waiting. But thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for this discourse. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, of course. Take care. All right, I said I would bring up a guest from Discord, so I will do that. But first, I want to just read some super chats, and then we'll move on. From Irmios with the 5 Canuck bucks. Best friend, 10 years, posted hate message against gays, voiced my concerns in private, got virulent reaction. Don't know how to go forward with that situation. Your best friend sounds like your best friend is changing, which sucks. And so you can do your best to try to pull them out, but you have to cut your losses somewhere, and that's a hard thing to do. Sorry that you're going through that. And from Christopher Sanford with the £5, the idea that the shroud is anatomically accurate is laughable. The arms are significantly different lengths. That's a good point. From Timothy with the $2, even Bishop Darkus from that time denied the rag. Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, the fact that there's a historical and empirical alignment of dates seems like it's evidence against the Shroud of Turin. Like, that seems like it's the smoking gun. All right, let us bring up our next guest. Let's bring up Don Brando from the Discord. Don Brando, how's it going? You have to unmute yourself. Don Brando, you there?
Oh, excuse me?
You're excused. Don Brando, you're on the show.
Oh, sorry. I was listening from the live and
That's fine.
I wasn't sure.
You're here now.
So
So Don,
I actually was...
do you believe in God?
Oh, yes, I do. I am Christian. I'm a Roman Catholic.
Okay, why should I believe in God?
Well, I came mostly to discuss one of the previous points mentioned about that other caller related to the Trinity.
Okay, you want to talk about the Trinity? Help me make sense of it, please.
Oh, okay. So the way I was thinking about it is that while the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are like they're different, they do share that similarity of like their intrinsic properties. Like, for example, the way I described it in my head personally would be like if you think about three spatial dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Like the X, Y, and Z axis, like in the way our universe works. And I think that I don't know if that would be considered intentionality, but what I see it as is that when it comes to X, Y, and Z, the three are like indistinguishable from each other, yet they describe the exact same thing, even though they are like different. And you can see
So
that
they're different,
like
they're different modes of the same thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's modalism, and that's a heresy, so you'd be burnt at the stake for that.
Huh?
That's modalism. Modalism is a heresy. So
Could you describe more into that?
yeah, I can get you an explicit definition for you if you'd like. So
Oh, yes,
modalism
that would
is
be...
modalism, and actually I can just go to some ministry website to help hopefully, and I can just read it from there. Modalism. Okay, so modalism says that there are no personal distinctions within the Godhead. Instead, God has, as it were, three different masks which he puts on depending on whether he is operating as Father, Son, or Holy Spirit. That's what modalism is.
Okay, so I guess I did not clarify my point enough as to what I meant when I said that. And what I mean is that the three different, well, they're not different, I guess I should say, but they are, but I was just using the dimensions as sort of like an example of how three different things like or not three different things, but how three things can all have the same properties without being, without necessarily being. Okay, sorry, my thoughts are a little bit mixed up right now. But it's like how a dimension is like a straight line, and everything on that dimension is like the same, or not everything on the dimension, but you can represent anything in that dimension as anything on the other two dimensions. So in the
But
same
they're
way,
orthogonal,
God,
right? Something can be on the
well,
x-axis
yeah.
without being on the y or z-axis.
Well, yes, but what I'm saying is if you, for example, rotated one of the axes, then they would be indistinguishable. So while yes, the way in our model, of
Yeah,
course,
so they
these
are
three
distinguishable. But if you do something to
Well,
them, you can erase the distinction.
okay.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's
So
very
they have
close,
different.
yeah.
So they have different
They're different
properties.
well, the properties are all the same because of the fact that translation and rotation and, well, not rotation, I guess, but like translation and reflection and stuff works on a one-dimensional plane, and these three are just three different interpretations of that same of that same quantity, because
So then it wouldn't
each
be the case that
dimension.
Jesus is holy God?
No,
Because one axis
they're
is certain.
all.
So the x-axis is certainly not wholly the three-dimensional space.
What I was trying to get at is that we describe three-dimensional axes as like sort of like the sides of like a box, for example. Whereas what I'm trying to say is that these three can also run in parallel and describe different qualities. Like, for example, like sliders, for example, like each like X position, Y position, Z position, that can all be described as like specific I guess you could say values, like numbers, for example. And I could say that equivalent, like since we see that all of these three things can be described as like one thing, like as a value, I think that God works in a similar way.
But one value is not the whole triplet of values, right?
Well, I think you can have one value to represent those triplet of values, like a hash,
No,
for
you
example.
can't. If you're in a three-dimensional space, you can't represent a point in a three-dimensional space with a single number.
Well, what if it's well, I do think there can be like specific algorithms that you can use to do it.
No, you
Like, for
can't.
example,
That's what makes it a
like what about
three-dimensional space.
concatenation? But what about like something like concatenation, where you concatenate all three of these discrete points, all three of these discrete values, and concatenate them together to make a single value.
Right,
And
but then that single then each single value along the single value corresponding to the x coordinate is only part of the value that you produce from the concatenation algorithm.
Well, okay, so with that, I would say that it's that each three of okay, wait. I think that what I was trying to say is that the fault like they're like I like what one of the previous callers said about all three the God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are all different in origin, but like in terms of properties they are shared. And I was thinking about it when it comes to that specific value I was talking about, or any values, it's that they're shared between them, but like sometimes some of those values are specifically, well, I wouldn't say but like it's all fully accessible. It's that there are certain things that are relegated to specific things, or at least like preferred among specific parts.
I have no idea what you were just trying to convey.
Sorry, I'm more like, this is more of I guess you could say conjecture, in my opinion, but it's just
Okay,
like
so
stuff that I'm.
let me give you let me just be honest with you. Like, doesn't it seem weird that you have to like twist yourself in all sorts of shapes in order to justify this fundamental aspect of your dogma? Like, it makes like it's obviously so nonsense that like you have to twist yourself in order to try to make it make any sort of sense. Isn't that a problem?
I honestly do see that as definitely being an issue, and I guess it is like, obviously, I like I said, I am Christian. Obviously, that is a result of my upbringing, and I don't. Oh, give me a.
You ever have a dream where you and the dream, and so when did you a dream? Did you ever?
I see. Yeah, I am a little bit mixed up in my thoughts. I haven't really like fully formalized them.
Nobody
And in that
has,
way,
because the Trinity doesn't make any sense.
well, maybe I'll come by another time to talk about that. Like maybe something less specific about that sort of aspect.
Okay.
But when it comes to, and I do understand like your standpoint. Like, I find it difficult. Like, so much as to convince, but I guess like as a here on, I wanted to acknowledge that at some point this like pushing is like or I guess not pushing, but it's like I think that there's more like within your own distinct group there's like something that it needs to what I mean is that I need to like I'm not fully understanding it because I think that it's beyond my comprehension and that I need to do more things in order to be able to better understand it. Is what
I
I'm saying.
think
Like
that
it's a
the
little out of
best,
my
I think that if you're going to be a Christian and a Trinitarian Christian at that, the best thing you can do is they say that the Trinity is fundamentally not understandable by humans. It's just a mystery. I don't think like I think that that is probably the most intellectually honest thing that you can do, and I think it's the easiest way out of the problem of the Trinity.
Okay, I actually will take that then in that case because like I said, I have not formalized anything and I have no reason to dispute that claim. Is just that I am like a person who is like very interested in knowledge. Like knowledge
Me
is
too.
like one of my biggest pursuits. Even if it's like pointless, even if it doesn't really matter at all, it's something that I just want to know because in my way that's like I perceive that as like my service to God. As like I believe that like I guess there's so many things I could talk about aside from the Trinity. Like nature, for example, I believe that is part of God's intention as well. And I think that in exploring science, I am exploring God's will because God made this big world for all of us. And I think you as well, you are learning about it and you're learning things. And that way you're also
So,
doing a service
do you
to
want
our
to talk about
Creator.
why I should believe in God, or do you just want to call it there?
I mean, honestly, why you should believe is
Mm-hmm.
honestly because, well, like I said, at least in my maybe it won't like because you don't have the basis on it, but the my idea about the creation, like I said, I believe the world's, or I haven't said it, but obviously I would believe that the world is created by God, and by that extent, I believe that since God created the world, I'm showing like I believe in Him
I understand that. I'm asking, what's the reason that I should believe in God?
because God created the.
That's
Okay, now
presupposing
I
the
can see. Yeah,
yeah.
yes, I see that. Well, then I guess I'll call it here, and then maybe
Okay.
join on the other on another portion. But
Okay.
thank you for your time, and I'll definitely be around for the other lives.
Okay. Take care. From Taylor Galilea with the $10. How is the herringbone weave pattern not just the nail in the coffin for the shroud? I've heard this claim, but I've also heard it be rebuked, if you will. So I don't know. From Brian Peck with the $5. Oh man, if he went with the laser light power, the amount of energy released instantly is around half a Hiroshima. Yeah, but magic, of course. And from Truman with the $2. All hail the octabillion T. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But that's neat. Let us bring up another guest from Discord. I attract cheaters. I attract cheaters. How's it going? You're on the live. I attract cheaters. You there? You have to unmute yourself. We can fix them. All right, looks like I Track Cheaters is not here. Bring up Justin. Justin, you there? Gotta unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, can you hear
Welcome,
me?
Justin. How's it going?
Groovy, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Justin, do you believe in God?
I do.
I don't. Why should I?
You know, first of all, I would just want to say I think you're pretty nice. You know.
Well, I appreciate that.
To kind of be on that show with like a hostile atheist, and like you're not that. So good on you, man.
Appreciate that. So, what you got for me?
So actually, I'd like to talk to you about the Trinity. Previous.
Sure.
Yeah. So first, I just kind of want to put my cards out. I'm an Eastern Orthodox Christian. I was raised Oneness Pentecostal, which is a form of modalism.
By the way, your mic's kind of going in and out.
I'm on Discord.
Maybe try changing your mic.
To try to adjust this. I want to make sure.
Maybe try changing your mic on Discord. There should be a way to do that.
I'm on my phone.
You should still be able to. Oh, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Am I on a speakerphone? Forgive me, man.
You're fine.
I've not done this before, so.
Your sins are forgiven.
Yeah, is this better?
I hope so.
I hope so too. I'll be loud. How about that? Can I be loud?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I want to put my cards on the table. I have a bachelor's of science. I have a bachelor's of Bible and Christian ministry. I have 1 year of seminary, Master of Divinity under my belt from Orthodox seminary. And currently, I'm enrolled in social work.
Sorry, one more time? Yeah, it's not better, unfortunately.
Oh no. No.
It's like every like fourth word, every fourth through eighth word is just like silent.
Oh no. Okay. Well. Let me see if I change the. Here, is this better?
I don't know, maybe, hopefully.
I just turned off the suppressor.
Maybe that'll work, yeah.
So yeah, hopefully that means, any gap will be suppressed. Okay.
Nope, it's not better.
Oh God. Well, can we try to push through, or do you think
I'm missing half of your words.
Okay. All right.
Sorry about that, Justin. Feel free to try calling back another time. Maybe next time come on a computer, and I'm happy to talk.
Sounds
if
good.
you can.
See you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That's a bummer. Sound like a nice guy, too. Okay, let's bring up Oka from TikTok. Oka, how's it going?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Oka, do you believe in God?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't. Why should I?
So, like, in order for me to like go forward with the discussion, like, I want to know more about your beliefs, like what you actually believe, because I don't want to talk and just say something that you don't actually hold.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. So what questions you got for me?
So
all right, you gotta quit moving while you're talking, because I can hear all of your movements on your springy bed.
Yo, sorry.
Literally all of them.
Let me get so about the universe, like, you believe that the universe has always existed, actually in a more fundamental way, like, probably.
I'm agnostic about whether there was a first moment of time, if that helps.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think that there's enough evidence to come to one conclusion or the other about whether there's a first moment of time.
Okay. So you believe that the universe is contingent in?
No, not necessarily. I think that it very well may be the case that the universe is necessary.
So you think it's more probable that the universe is necessary than it's?
I don't know if it's more probable, but I think that that's something that we can't rule out.
But like, what do you hold to, that the universe is contingent or necessary?
I'm agnostic about the issue.
You're agnostic.
I don't know. I don't think that we have enough information to say.
Okay, so what positive beliefs do you have? I like how you.
Well, I don't think that a God exists. I think that Jupiter is orbits the sun. I think that life almost certainly exists elsewhere in the universe. I think that evolution is true.
Okay,
But if you're asking about the most fundamental questions, unless we have good reason to believe them, I'm gonna withhold belief.
okay, okay. So about God, you believe that it's God does not exist. Like
Right.
that's what you believe.
Yeah, at least a god that is at all compatible with some sort of like theism, right? Like, I could be open to this idea that like the universe itself has a mind, or like that there's some sort of emergent intelligence of the universe. I don't think that's true, but I'm not gonna like rule that out. Like I would be agnostic about that.
The universe was emergent from a mind, or
no, that the universe is a mind, like some sort of pantheism or something like that, or like kind of whatever Spinoza's doing. That I'm more agnostic about. But if you're talking about like some sort of like disembodied mind that is separate from the physical reality, but is itself the origin or the foundation or the creator of physical reality, yeah, that I don't believe in.
Okay, so I just hold that I just believe that like there's no reason for me not to believe in God.
I can give you one. For example, I assume by God you mean like the kind of God that I just described, like some sort of disembodied mind that is either the origin or the creator or the foundation of the physical world. Such a thing, as far as I'm concerned, such a thing couldn't exist in time, because that's part of the physical world. I don't believe in a causal relationship. I don't believe. Yeah, no, I know. Surely, but I don't think that you can have a mind if you don't have time. And so I think that there's probably good reason to think that there are no disembodied minds that exist non-temporally.
Do you
and I mean, like we have an inductive case to make for that. Like every single mind that we've ever encountered is a mind that exists within time. Therefore, we have reason to think that all minds exist within time.
Okay, so do you have like an actual do you believe that theism is like logically impossible, or
depends on the kind of theism? Like if you're doing like classical theism, like triomnitheism, like that's probably an issue. You either end up at a logical contradiction, or you end up at not being able to know anything at all, not being able to trust any of your moral intuitions, not being able to trust any of your senses, etc. And I think that probably both horns of the dilemma are problematic.
Okay, so I would say I'm trying to like lay out my paradigm. I believe that the universe is emergent. I would say the universe is grounded by a disembodied mind. I believe the universe is emergent from a disembodied mind. I believe that it's non-causal. It's like a grounding relationship.
Sure.
And yeah, that's just more simply. But if you have any questions, then you can.
What do you take a mind to be? Like a disembodied, non-temporal mind? What do you take that to be?
Actually, I think I hold to idealism. Like I believe like I believe that I don't believe in physical things. I just believe that minds is I don't know if I can say it like formally if I make a mistake.
It's fine. Like I'm not going to be like uncharitable. You've been fine.
Yeah, I just say that it's an immaterial it's an immaterial entity that can that is rational. I think that's like just
what does it mean to be rational? If it's like non-temporal.
I would say capable of thought, like capable of rational thought.
But that's a process, and a process takes place in time. Right, like a good yeah. So a good example of like rational thought is kind of moving. I don't, moving's not the right word, but it's sort of progressing through an argument or progressing through a series of premises and then coming to a conclusion based on those premises, right? That would be an example of rational thought. But that's a process, right? You first conceptualize the premises, and then you deduce relationships between those premises, and then you derive a conclusion from those relationships. And so, like, I don't see how that could happen if we're non-temporal.
Wait, hold on, give me a second.
You there? Oka, you there?
All right, so sorry, what do we leave out?
Yeah, you said that. So when I asked you what you take a mind to be, and you said something capable of rational thought. And then I challenged that by saying it seems like rational thought is a kind of thing that takes place in time. But the thing that you're proposing is non-temporal. So I don't understand how this thing could be capable of rational thought if there's no time in which in which it can do rational thought.
Can you go? I think you demonstrate like has to require time. Can you like go over that again?
I can hear you moving again, by the way. But yeah, I'm not making a deductive case here. I'm just saying like the kinds of things that we consider rational thought would be like the.
So it's just inductive. Like you don't like.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, I don't have a, unless you can define for me what rational thought is, then like I can't make a deductive argument against it. But the way that people typically understand what rational thought is like some sort of process of going from some premises and perhaps some axioms or perhaps some intuitions to a conclusion, right? And that's a process that you first consider the premises, you consider the axioms, then you consider their relationships, and from those relationships you come to a conclusion. And so this is a process that happens in time, right? I'm just not sure what
I don't believe that it's a process. But you can, I mean, I can understand why it's inductive to think that it's a process, but I just don't.
But so what else would it like? What else would it be?
Like I think that it's I just don't think that it's a process. I just don't think that it's something
so
that
like okay, but what is it?
It's something that's instantiated. A thought is something that's instantiated.
Well, so look, a thought might be instantiated, but the rational is not just a thought, right? A single thought isn't rational. It's never rational. A rational is a connection. It's a deduction or perhaps an induction.
What I mean by rational is I believe that is what I'm saying is that it the thoughts obey certain logical things, not specifically that there's a logical process, but that they obey logic, and that those thoughts are instantiated. That those thoughts can be instantiated atemporally. Like I don't think the thoughts that I'm instantiating right now are atemporal. They're occurring within time sequentially, but I don't. I just don't think I don't have. You can make an inductive argument, but I don't believe that that is logically. I think that it can't be the case. That's what I'm trying to say.
So, in your view, what is the distinction between what you consider God's thoughts to be like and a book?
Hold on, wait a second. I literally just said our thoughts are temporal and sequential.
I know. I'm talking about God's. I'm talking about God's thoughts.
No, I was just replying to a comment.
Okay, don't worry about the comments.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So what's the distinction between, say, God's thoughts and like a mathematics book?
God's thoughts in a mathematics book?
Yeah. Or just like a book with propositions that are true in it.
Book is a mathematics book exists within a temporal mind. I don't
okay, well, math books don't exist within minds. They're like They exist in like the world, whether or not you think that the physical world exists. They're not like within some temporal mind.
I don't.
Like, so let me elaborate on what I mean by this. It's not really a criticism. It's just like kind of a question. Look, so imagine that you have like. Oh yeah, you are cutting out. Okay, can you hear me?
Cutting out. Hello.
Can you hear me all right? Okay, I can. Hello.
Hold again. Hello.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, so yeah, I don't
me?
believe that math books physically exist.
Okay,
I
so
believe that they exist within minds.
it's hypothetical, right? So suppose that like there is like this like the fundamental book, and just think of it as like it contains all true propositions in it, and it's atemporal, and it's non-material, and it just has all of the true facts written down in it, right? What is the difference between that and God's mind?
But I'm saying I inductively don't believe that physical things exist.
That's fine. We're not talking about a physical book.
You cut out. Oh my god.
We're not talking about a physical book.
We're talking about a book that exists within a mind.
No, we're just talking about a book that doesn't exist within a mind.
Oh my gosh, it's cutting out.
Yeah, Oka, the connection looks sufficiently bad that it looks
what
like
exactly
we're
is this book?
It's just a book. It has facts written down in it. All right, I'm gonna have to let you go. The connection's too bad. Sorry, bud. I do appreciate the attempt at good faith, but we just can't. All right. No more super chats to read. Okay, well I see how it is. Let's talk to Tony the Kraken Mac. I do a little light trolling, right? Tony, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right,
man.
I appreciate that. Tony, do you believe in God?
I do. I would like to. I would like to talk about the Trinity. I'm just joking. I
was gonna kill myself. No, I can't say that. This is a joke. It was all a joke. TikTok, don't ban me. Don't report me, please. In a video game, in Minecraft, in Fortnite. Okay, so Tony, you believe in a God. I don't believe in a God. Why should I believe in a God?
Yes. So I don't know that it really matters if you believe in a God. I don't think God, as far as what I believe it to be, I don't think God gives a shit if you believe in him or not. He doesn't believe it. It doesn't care if I believe in it or anyone else. It's kind of like you have hydrogen atoms in your skin, in your body that do their work. But if you took one of those hydrogen atoms out, it's not like your body's gonna just collapse. So if you don't believe in God, it's not like God is going to collapse or anything.
No, I'm just asking why I should think it's real.
So it's the consciousness of the universe. The guy was talking about video games and using the analogy of that, which was a horrible analogy. He was kind of on the right track, but it was a bad analogy. It's not so much that these rules govern everything. It's not so much that the math book actually exists. It's not that the math book and what God believes are any different. The math book is the cipher for what God is thinking, and God is thinking in binary ones and zeros. It's like the particle of light or the wave of light, depending on where you're looking at it. The universe made that decision based on what the active observer did. So it's not thinking like a human is thinking. It's not thinking like, therefore I am.
Do you think that there exists a being separate from reality that is the origins, grounds, or foundation for the universe?
I believe it's the very being that we, like the thing that we call reality itself is itself a being.
Okay, well, that's not what I'm really talking about. Today is not, I'm an pantheist. I'm an atheist.
Wait,
so like, look, like maybe the universe has some sort of emergent consciousness. Okay. But that seems consistent with the view that there's not a disembodied mind that created the universe, either causally or non-causally. So it's just not the interesting conversation. But I do appreciate you being here. I'm gonna let you go though, Tony. Let's talk to Madeline Sapphire.
Madeline Sapphire, how's it going? fine.
Glad to hear it. Madeline, do you believe in a god?
No, I'm agnostic.
Okay, well then surely you can't convince me to believe in a god if you can't convince yourself, so I'm gonna let you go.
I'm not trying.
Let's bring up Appy TP Ciento. Appy, how's it going?
Yo, it's good. Oh, god damn. Oh.
You there?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So Appy, do you believe in God?
Yes, I do. I am a Christian.
Okay, why should I believe in God?
Personally, what convinced me to believe in God was that there is fine logic, fine temporal logic, and that's all I can think of. And I think we can talk about that.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
So, elaborating is that you can present me questions like regarding the logic that made me convinced, like maybe like what is morality?
What's the argument?
What does God do this? All right, I'll present one.
Go ahead.
What made you? What makes you not believe in God? How about that?
That's not an argument. That's a question.
Oh yeah, that is a question. But I like to shift into that topic first because I think it opens up arguments.
How about this? When I was 6 years old, a demon came to me in my dreams and said that if you don't become an atheist, he's going to burn my whole house alive. Okay, why should I believe in God?
Well, that is a very, very ridiculous analogy, and not analogy, I mean example. But I mean, sure, that is one reason. That sure is one reason to not believe in God, and I understand the perspective. But
why should I believe in God?
Yeah, but logically, why you should believe in God is that logically it is very fine, and then
it's very fine.
I could try.
I don't know what that means.
I could try persuading you. I could try persuading you.
Yes, please provide an argument.
All right. All right. Let's say I think God provides like providence in this world that if you personally like engage with him, you can experience that interpersonally without like perhaps increased mentality, you know, something like that.
It sounds like what you're telling. So your argument is something like, if you believe in God, you'll have cool experiences. Is that the argument?
Well, you have more positive experiences, and that might be an indication like God interpersonally is like very hard to convince onto others. Like, have you tried being a Christian, or are you born into a
No, I mean Christianity. No, I haven't tried being a Christian. Christianity seems like kind of fundamentally flawed from the get-go. It seems like actually like being a Christian actually kind of leads you to some like really non-positive experiences. Like, it requires that you believe that, like, you know, requires you to believe these absurd things, like there's a reason for every amount of suffering, right? And that seems that seems a little absurd to me. So like, I don't know why I should try doing this if you have to believe these absurd conclusions.
Well, yeah, that is understandable. That is an understandable perspective, but that's quite literally how religion works. It's that we frame into these godly beings, and I think what makes them true to me is that it's just so logically fine. Like, presume like
what do you mean logically fine?
To specify logically fine is that I can literally answer some sort of atheistic questions that cause doubts until people. And
okay, but that's not just to be clear. Having an answer to every question doesn't mean that the belief is true.
Yeah. That is true. That is true.
Why should I think that it's true?
Yeah, that's why persuasion is something like not objective. It's just your
right. I'm just asking for a reason why I should think it's true, not for a reason why I should think it's, say, consistent. By the way, it's just not the case that you can logically answer every question, but in like a logically consistent way. But that's neither here nor there. Even if you could, that wouldn't make it true.
Yeah, that because is true.
I could do the same thing with naturalism, right? You ask me any question, I'll give you a naturalistic answer.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't make it true.
Alright, I'll try to answer. Actually, this time I'll try to answer your question. Like, what can you? What was that? What's the question again?
Yeah.
Forgot.
Okay. Why did dinosaurs get cancer?
Why did dinosaurs get cancer? I think that's a pretty stupid question, but
You said that you can answer any question that an atheist asks. Well, I asked you one. Calling it stupid isn't answering it.
Well, that's pretty absurd. I guess we have no evidence in that.
Oh, yes, we do. We have tons of evidence that dinosaurs had cancer. I can show you a dinosaur bone that has cancerous growth on it.
So yeah, but let's jump into something more sensical. I think that's...
No, I'm sorry. You're going to answer this question. You said that you could answer any question that I ask you, and you're going to answer it. Or you can run, I guess. But just for those who don't know...
That's an absurd question. Like,
it's not absurd because we literally have a dinosaur bone with cancer on it right here.
Well, that's not in correlation with religion or in some form, and that's what I'm here for.
It absolutely is, because the question is why did dinosaurs get cancer to begin with? Why did they suffer so much?
All right. That makes sense. So, dinosaurs, in the Christian theology, we actually define animals as something that has, like, although not dogmatically half spirit or something, it's just is not on par with how God treats humans, and therefore, like, they may have been cancer may something been natural that may hint into, like, allows the that hints into something logically. Like, we might ask where the cancer came from. That
Yeah,
might be
where
an
did the cancer
evidence
come
that
from?
God provided. Yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
I'm
and that
asking
might
where did
be-
it come from?
Well, God created nature not as a perfect thing. Yeah, right.
Oh, God created nature imperfectly?
God created a perfect thing. God created the perfect world, which Adam and Eve caused,
and the perfect world includes dinosaurs with cancer.
The perfect world back then did not. Although
Okay,
I'm
but
not
so-
an existentialist.
Wait a minute. So did the dinosaurs have cancer before Adam and Eve? Or not?
In a way, the Bible is not something scientific, where if the Bible actually spoke about the dinosaurs, then that would be a pretty sound argument. Knowing
If it did, that would be, you'd be right. That would be crazy if it did. But unfortunately, it didn't.
that is
So now you have to answer the question.
Yeah. So in a way, I think God potentially covered that up because, again, it would be pretty absurd for him to place that in the Bible. And if it were placed on the Bible, then it almost proves his entire existence. It's
Right,
very,
yeah, but
very,
it's not. So what's the explanation for how where dinosaur cancer came from?
Well, I think it is some form of natural. It is the natural way of the world that God created.
Okay,
Although
so
God created
the natural way of the world includes the perfect natural way of the world includes dinosaur cancer?
The analogy for Adam and Eve may have been like that. That may have.
What
been
analogy?
Like
We're not talking
humans.
about an analogy. I'm just asking why the dinosaurs get cancer.
Well, yes, I think, or I mean, let me specify. I think Adam and Eve were something analogical and not something like truly scientific, as if they existed as really humans within this world.
Did Jesus
Because
think that they
again,
really existed within this world?
Adam and Eve?
Yeah.
I'm not sure of any scripture that mentions that.
Well, I mean, he must have, because he is apparently from the line of Adam, right? And if Adam and Eve didn't actually exist, then he can't be from the line of of someone that didn't actually exist, right?
Right. So the chronological thing doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, yeah, it's something analogical because it comes with a premise that if God added dinosaurs into the Bible, that would be pretty absurd, and that would
Right, but the
pretty
point
much
is
convince
you said that
everybody.
you could answer any question, not just about the things that are in the Bible. So
Oh no, I'm not talking about like the scientific stuff where I can't pull up sources at my ass.
no, this isn't a scientific question. My question is why did God's perfect world include animal suffering?
The God's chronological thing may have been something analogical, like again, Adam and Eve.
I don't see how that addresses my question. Why was there animal suffering in God's perfect world?
We can presume that God's perfect world was really when he means by perfect, I mean he foresees the future, right? He foresees the future.
Presumably, yeah.
Yeah. He foresees the future. So while he did make a perfect world, I think that analogically means that the nature includes bad and good. And
Okay,
in a
so
way, bad and good,
so
that literally filters out believers who believe into him because they see him in a way that they're afraid of him, and believers who believe in him because they love him.
okay, so you're telling me that God couldn't have created a world that doesn't have dinosaur cancer 100 million years ago and achieved the same outcomes?
I'm telling you that God may have created what he meant by a perfect world was a perfectly natural world. That's my interpretation.
So by perfect world, you just mean not perfect. You just
By
mean like
perfect world.
you just mean like imperfect.
In a context, yeah, I think.
So
in a
perfect means
context,
imperfect.
it
You're
means
right. Okay.
perfect.
You know what? So Appy, you absolutely can answer any question as long as words don't mean what they mean.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple contexts when we mean by perfect. I mean, if you look at the natural world right now, it's absolute perfection. Like,
no, it's not.
If you
what are you talking about?
The natural world isn't.
The natural world isn't perfect. What aspect of the natural world is perfect?
What I mean by is that it's finely tuned. That's what I mean. Like there's
No,
specific
it's not.
fundamentals that cannot be broken.
Like
There's
what?
fundamentals that can't be broken. Like how nitrogen is present in space and all.
How is that fine tuned?
Those are the fundamentals that really make up the world, and I think that's what I mean by.
That's not fine tuning.
Well, I finely tuned not in that word. I mean, fine tuning is a different argument. What I mean by finely tuned is that it's finely made. Finely made. I mean, specifically.
Finely made and perfect are different. I don't even know what finely made means, but it certainly doesn't mean perfect.
Because we're arguing about like nomenclature, you know. And
perfect
it's very,
perfect is a word that means something. It means without flaws, without fault.
Yeah.
Right. That's what perfect means. And so if the world is perfect in every way, that means that there's no way in which there's a flaw, right?
Yeah, but then that might be an analogy.
I can go point to many.
Yeah, like can you like show me an example so that we can continue with this discussion?
Yeah, dinosaur cancer.
Oh yeah.
The radioactivity of technetium.
All right.
The instability of the neutron.
But yeah, those are under like the fundamentals of those are like very similar, right? Like it's still
no, they're not related at all.
Laws of nature. They're still under the laws of nature. What I mean.
Wait a minute. So the laws of nature are perfect now?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like the fundamentals of nature are.
Okay, so wait a minute. Why do humans get cancer?
Because that's part of the nature. I mean, that's part of the hurdles in the world that.
Oh, that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says that it's because of the fall.
Oh, that's because of the fall. Yeah, in a moralistic sense, because God may have foreseen that humans will be horrible.
Wait a minute. So was the fall because of what Eve did, or was it because God just made it that way?
As I stated, like Eve may have been like even Adam may have been something analogical and not chronologically sensical, you know. And it's all under interpretation. So
okay, so you think that Adam and Eve didn't exist?
I think Adam and Eve existed as the first primordial lineage, but not as the original people that were implemented into the world.
Okay, so did Eve actually eat from the tree of knowledge?
In an analogical sense, I think it does.
Okay, so in an actual sense, you think no? You think the answer is no?
I think like it's some form of artistry because we can assume that God likes art, and then Eve did something restrictive, and it's like it analogically explains how humans are very, very like, regardless of whatever
did Eve actually eat from the tree of knowledge or no?
In an artistic sense, like we can assume the first.
No, why do you keep changing the sense? I'm asking, did she actually do it? Was there actually a tree with the tree with the knowledge with fruits that give you knowledge on it? And did Eve actually eat those fruits?
Yes, I think she did actually eat those fruits.
Okay, when?
And again, that's not chronological because they were the first.
If it actually happened, then it happened at a time.
Yes, and that happened under living time. So
When?
even Adam and Eve were real. Adam and Eve were real, but we can't
Okay,
tell
when?
That's, Adam and Eve were real, and that
Okay, I
was.
thought that you could answer any question that an atheist asks. When?
I think that's an absurd question. There's no way you can qualitatively.
What do you mean it's an absurd question?
When?
It's not an absurd. Like, just because you don't know the answer doesn't make it absurd. If these are real people, then they existed at some real time. So when did they exist?
At that time period, it's impossible to get the quantitative.
Okay, so you can't answer the question.
Yeah, that admittedly, you can't answer that question because it's pretty absurd.
Just because you can't answer it doesn't make it absurd. It's a normal question to ask when a certain person existed. There's nothing absurd about that. There's nothing internally contradictory about asking when a person existed. Now, you might not know the answer, but it doesn't make it absurd. But this sounds like you've just admitted that the Christian worldview can't answer the question of when Eve existed.
Well, yes, it doesn't make it I mean, the normal premise doesn't make it absurd, but then the impossibility makes it absurd.
What impossibility? How is it impossible to know?
The impossibility to the impossibility to know when Adam and Eve specifically existed.
Why is that impossible? I've talked to plenty of Christians who say that they definitely know Adam and Eve existed 6,000 years ago.
Well,
I've talked to other people who say I've talked to other people who say that Adam and Eve existed 300,000 years ago.
Well, their views, I think, are very different to mine, and then the Bible.
So then it's not impossible. It's not impossible to pin down a date. You just don't know which date to pin down.
If you're unsure, I think it's the best. I think the best way to respond to it is simply assuming that it's not. It's like you can't respond to it. Simply like not respond.
So the best way to respond when you don't know something is to say I don't know. Not that's absurd. It's impossible.
Exactly. Let's establish that as a premise.
Okay, so you don't know. That's not the same thing as it's absurd or it's impossible, right?
It's not the same thing, but I think it's absurd personally. And you can.
Okay, what's the contradiction then? What's the absurdity?
The absurdity is that we can't tell. We can't tell. That's the absurdity.
What's the argument for that?
And the argument for that is like it was very back then in the past and specific.
Yeah, we can know a lot of things about the past.
Yeah, like I mean, you can't expect us to know about their bones when like there's plenty of other species who are in there like specific time periods existed, you know?
It doesn't make it impossible.
Yeah, they may have been like the Homo. It doesn't make it impossible, and that's also like that's also side with my arguments, like both of ours. I mean, it's all under interpretation.
You said that you could answer every question. When I gave you a question that you didn't know the answer to, instead of saying I don't know, you just said it's impossible. So if you're going to say it's impossible, you got to defend that with an argument. Not enough to just say, oh, well, you know, we can't be sure. Maybe we can't figure it out. That's not enough. That's not the same thing as impossible.
Well, if God did give absolute answers to something objective and non-interpretive, then I think that would literally end the concept of free will.
That's ridiculous. That's arguably the dumbest thing that you've said.
Yeah. Well,
it turns out knowing things doesn't remove free will. Knowing things increases free will.
Knowing things increases free will.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Obviously.
It does. I mean, yeah, but yeah.
If God gave us objective information, we would have more freedom, not less.
If under his existence, like if God actually showed himself to us, then that would make us more like robots and something. Something free.
How would that make us more like robots?
Because if God was in front of you right now and then like literally tells you everything about the future and the past, then I think
why would he have to tell you everything about the future and the past in order to reveal himself to you?
Because that's like our example.
That's not part of it. No, if God just showed up in front of me, that doesn't remove free will.
Well, yeah, but you're, as a human, you're personally convinced by that, especially it's something magical and all. And then with the fear of like, I mean, specifically in the fear of doing something terrible, knowing that he absolutely exists, that would make it very, very difficult for you to commit sin.
So are you telling me that whenever anybody whenever I'm afraid of something, I don't have free will?
Wait, what? Repeat that again?
Are you telling me that whenever I'm afraid of something, I don't have free will?
When you're afraid of something, you don't have free will. Yes, psychologically in some
Okay,
form.
so then,
yeah.
so that if God wants to preserve our free will, why doesn't he make us all never afraid of anything? If free will is so important to him.
Well, that's also absolutism. Like, if you removed our fears, then that would make us more like robots again. That's
Not having fears doesn't remove free will, it increases free will. If you have no fears, then you have more options, not fewer.
yeah, but humans have a diverse. The world is diverse, and then if you like limit it to something, like for instance, if you lose the ability of fear, like there's no more convincements of sin. Like a lot of people.
What are you talking
a lot
about?
of
You can
people,
still
like-
sin even if you don't have fear.
I mean, yeah, but without
In fact,
fear,
you might
there's
sin
no-
more.
Yeah, fear is like one of the biggest like guardrail in doing anything, and removing that in our consciousness is again so a form of absolutism, and a lot of things come from fear. Without that, it also
That's
loses
true,
the
but
ability
removing
to-
fear doesn't remove free will. How does removing fear restrict choices?
Wait, say it again.
How does removing fear restrict your choices?
It doesn't.
Okay, so then removing fear wouldn't remove free will.
I mean, that's a very general statement. Like, if we narrow it to something much more tangible, then we would have. Can we try narrowing it to something more tangible? Like,
We don't
can you
need
give me an
to.
example?
The point is earlier you said that giving someone fear, that giving someone fear removes their free will, which is probably, it at least restricts it, right? It at least restricts their free will, because if they're afraid, then they have fewer options because they won't do the thing that they're afraid of.
To specify, giving someone absolute fear, like the absolute appearance of God.
just like look, so let's say that you have two options, and then I like magically teleport into your head that you're afraid of option B. You have option A and option B, and then I make you afraid of option B. Now you have less free will because you're going to do option A.
That's
right.
That's indeed right.
Okay. So if fear contributes to our lack, or contributes to a reduced level of free will, and God is interested in preserving maximal free will, then it stands to reason that God would remove all of our fear, because fear only serves to reduce our free will.
Fear is a psychological guardrail to a lot of things, like anxiety.
And every single time it reduces our free will.
Fear removes our free will. I think no, because without fear,
It reduces our free will.
Guardrails. Then we wouldn't have those guardrails. I think the balance.
Yeah, those you realize guardrails are the exactly the kind of thing that remove free will, right? Guardrails prevent you from doing what you would otherwise do.
In an absolute sense, no, it needs to be balanced. It needs to be balanced.
Okay,
Just
so there's
like
a balance of how much free will God wants to give us. He doesn't want to give us too much free will, so why couldn't he just reveal himself to us?
Because the absence of fear, I think it also gives like free will in a very negative sense, where
Okay, so then why couldn't God just reveal himself to us?
because that again increases the fear, which decreases our free will. Again, to restate.
Wait a minute. So wait a minute. So giving us fear is bad. Taking away our fear is bad.
Yeah, and then we need to balance it, because also to prove that, also to say that if God removed our fears, like it increases our free will, but then it also like removes one of the main things that other people believes in them, and I think that's part of the world that that is a fundamental thing.
God can't. So you're telling me that God doesn't want us to have more freedom?
God doesn't want us to lose our minds by not having fear.
I think that we actually lose our minds because of fear more frequently than we do because of the lack of fear.
If we're very afraid, if we're not very afraid.
I don't think anybody's lost their mind because they're not afraid enough.
Everybody has entered like very stupid decisions because they're not afraid enough.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that they're going to lose their mind.
Well, yeah, in a way that it's still negative. It's still negative. That's
to
what
not
I meant
have fear.
by,
It's negative to not have fear. So if it's negative to not have fear, wouldn't God want us to have more fear?
again, it's balanced. It should be balanced. That we
Okay.
can't dictate. And yeah, it should be balanced. I think that's the best way.
What about the
because,
people who are
again,
born without fear?
people who are born without fear is again another interesting part of life that,
Mm-hmm.
in a way, is another interesting part of life that adds color to it. That's why the life is a spectrum with multiple colors. And
So why
without-
doesn't God give the people who are born without fear? Why doesn't he show up to them to give them more fear so that it's balanced?
I think that's directly intervening with the world, because on the Bible, I mean, on
Yeah,
the
but
Bible,
doesn't but
also
he
in the
he
real
wants
life.
the world to be perfect, right? And so, like, you know, in order for the world to be perfect, he would have to have everybody be in perfect balance with the amount of fear that they have.
Yes, but he also doesn't want to dictate on someone's life almost immediately, and I think that's
Except
that's
all the
very
times that
beautiful.
he does.
Back then,
Presumably you think
he
that
used to-
prayer works, right?
Yeah, prayer works.
Okay, isn't that direct intervention?
Direct governance, like directly intervening in miracles, I think it's very, very different, and it doesn't exist in small prayers that we do every day. No, I don't think there's.
But he
miracles
does
every
directly
day.
intervene.
Directly intervening through miracles, and to
Yeah,
very
that's
rare
a-
instances where there's no.
Would you
there's
say it was
no-
a miracle when Moses saw the burning bush?
Well, that was back then. Back then, with
Yeah, but
less
it was a
problem.
miracle, right? It was a miracle, right?
Yeah, it was a miracle. Yeah, it was a
So
miracle,
like
indeed.
Jesus just appearing to somebody would be a miracle. So he could do that.
Yeah.
Why
he could
doesn't
do
he?
that? If he did that now, then there will be digital devices that will literally film his existence and then
Okay.
show
So
it
what?
to the rest of the world. That again, concept, and goes back to the concept of fear.
So then why
causing, like,
do you think that all of the miracles that are recorded, like the Our Lady of Zaytun miracle or the miracle of the sun, do you think that these were real miracles that actually happened?
I think those were real miracles, and the
Because they were
beauty is-
recorded too.
Yeah, because they were recorded, but not in an absolute sense of way. Like Jesus appears once, there's like 20 other people that records him, and that directly affects the nature of like.
He could just appear in like in somebody's, like when somebody's bedroom, for example, and then just give them fear.
Then we can subjectively say that he may have done that. I don't know.
Well, no, but there are people who don't have any fear.
Yeah, there are people who don't have any fear.
Right, and so why doesn't he appear to those people and give them fear?
Because that's direct like interaction with people.
Yeah, and
That's what
he
people-
does direct interaction with people historically. If you believe Christianity is true, this is a thing that he does.
Yeah, historically, but ever
So
since
why
the
doesn't he
New
do it
Testament-
now? No,
He
he
can't-
did
he doesn't do
it
it
like
now.
according to Christianity, he did it like 100 years ago. There are
Yeah.
like documented miracles by like the church from like 100 years ago.
Oh, those were not. I think those were not the direct. I mean, in a way, that's
Yeah.
from.
Yeah,
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 he
they
uses-
were.
They mean there were like it broke the natural law, but then.
So
he
then there's
did
no
not-
issue with miracles happening with direct intervention.
Direct intervention, like his arrival, absolute arrival. Yeah, I think there's no issue. Yeah.
Okay, so then why couldn't he just do it and give people some fear who don't have fear?
Because that's again intervention, like
Yes, he does intervention. We've agreed that he does intervention.
yeah.
He does
But then
that. So
again,
why
no,
can't he do it?
Yeah, it breaks the dynamic. That's the point. It breaks the dynamic.
What dynamic? It just sounds arbitrary.
Yeah, indeed, the religion is arbitrary because it's
Okay, so
really
there's no
dependent-
reason for it?
dependent on perspective. It's
Okay,
really
so there's no
dependent on
reason for it. Got it.
There is a reason for it because
Not if it's arbitrary.
It might exist, it might not exist. It might exist, it might not exist. Like it's absolutely there's no way to objectively prove it, but there is a way to persuade people into it. And that's
Apparently
like my role.
by not answering questions or by eventually terminating in it's arbitrary.
That's my role, to convince, to persuade you, and then to admit, and then to humbly admit, of course, that it's true that we can't objectively prove it. So
Do you think that you're
a
doing a
last
good job
question
of
before-
persuading?
Yeah, I'm about to ask you that. So,
Okay.
like, let's assess before I depart. So, what have we discussed in a non-biased sense?
We've discussed the lack of explanation for dinosaur cancer, and we've discussed the lack of explanation for I don't even know how we got to the
Adam and Eve.
the fear thing.
Yeah, the fear.
Oh yeah, we
yeah.
discussed the lack of explanation for why God intervenes or doesn't intervene when God chooses to do so.
All right, I'll share my my thoughts on those discussions. I think we've discussed proposition that I had. It's like how world operates on the natural dynamic, and that perfection does not absolutely mean perfection, and that religion has multiple analogies that in ways try to persuade people, and then you're not persuaded, and that's fine. And I think that concludes our discussion right now. So thank you for your time.
All right, take care. I didn't mean to be mean to him, but like when people say, well, you know, giving information, people who think that knowing more takes away free will, first of all, I don't even think that free will exists, but if you assume free will exists, if you think that knowing more takes away free will, it's the dumbest thing that you can say. Like, it's obviously true that if you know more, you have more options, right? From Pensive with the $20 lava lamp donation. I appreciate that. Thank you, Pensive. Always good to see you. From Miko Makopo with the £5. You are not alone. Here's a super chat for you to read. Thank you. From the Rabbit Squirrel Sage with the $2, it's the course tuning argument. That's exactly what we were doing, right? We were doing the course tuning. From Jack Fetter with the $5, I feel that he is explaining his beliefs, but rather, I feel less that he is explaining his beliefs, but rather working them out in real time. Friday therapy with Blitz, maybe dolls would help next time. Yeah, well, he did seem kind of young. I should have asked his age. From Jack Fetter with the $5, oh man, I didn't even see his avatar until now. Not surprisingly, it's a lot more logical now coming from a cat. I have to inform you that I am not a cat, despite appearances. Real G's will get it. Let me just double check for something really quick. Cash apps and the like. So we have, wow, enormous from Shay with the, this was like an hour ago, so thank you so much, Shay, an hour and a half ago even. Shay sent a $100 cash app. Let's get 100 W's for Shay in the chat for funding the quest to excavate god bones. Yeah, we will need to excavate god bones, that's true. Excavating god bones is tricky. They are quite large, it turns out. Otherwise, I don't know, there's something else. But thank you so much, Shay. It's always good to see you, and I always appreciate the generous support. And then we have $5 from Cloud of Time to the new car fund. Yes, we're looking at getting like a slightly used car, and we're not going to buy one brand new because that's financially irresponsible. And then we're thinking about an electric vehicle, maybe, if we can find one that my wife likes. But yeah, we do need a car because the car that we're currently driving has terrible mileage. It has very expensive maintenance. So hence why we need to get a different car. Yeah, we were thinking about the EV6, but they're kind of pricey. The EV4 is also on our list of things to look at. Right, but that is all I have for you guys today, and that is all I have for you guys this week. I will see you guys on Sunday for some more Ask a Physicist, but I don't have anything planned for the rest of the week, so thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys so much for supporting. If you want to follow along, if you want to join the community, there's a Discord link. It's not this one, although you can go there. You can join by going to discord.gg/drblitz, just Dr. Blitz. The other thing that you can do is, if you would like to, there are perks to becoming like a $5 a month supporting member, like on Patreon or on YouTube or TikTok or Twitch. You get access to a private Discord channel. You also get access to my debate notes. You get access to somewhere between an hour and a half to 3 hours a week of essentially guaranteed Ask a Physicist answers. And you also get access to some emojis, which are fun for the live streams if you take part in that. So consider it. You don't have to, but consider it. In the meantime, I'm going to go make some coffee and soothe my headache. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Oh.